It's yapping time. All right, I think it works now. I see Cheyenne's in the chat. Cheyenne. It's like the Chinese version of you. Very nice. All right. So, I think we're good. Let me get a thumbs up in the chat if we're good here. I didn't see it pop up on my... Oh, yep, watch live now. It's yapping time. Very cool. Thumbs up. Like the button. Hit the hearts. And we're good. All right. So anyway, for those of us just joining us, it's Tuesday nights, should be getting ready. But YouTube banned me from doing live streaming for some reason. They didn't tell me, and it apparently has something to do with the last video, even though they said the copyright was good. They said, oh, you're not in trouble. Copyright, the owner says is cool, but you can't live stream. So I don't know how long I'm banned for, but I have desperate need to not be banned because they're lucky I'm a nobody with like no subbies. Because could you imagine if we had like 100,000 subbies and every time I do a live show it makes a ton of money in the super chats, and then YouTube's like, oh well, not today. I'm like, whoa, bro, that's my weekly paycheck. What are you talking about? YouTube, you're lucky. I'll let you get away with it because I'm a nobody. All right, we got the thumbs up in the chat. So I figured what I'll do is I was just going to yap anyway by myself because Jason has the day off today. So while I yap, we'll at least have the visualization of golf because I just like playing golf. And honestly, that's what you do when you go golfing. You go golfing, you grab some buddies, and, I've never done this before, but, you're supposed to bring some brewskis, and then you're just like talking about stuff, and then you let one guy hit, because it's a game played one dude at a time. And so it's mostly just a yap session. So that's what we're going to end up doing here. Let me see if I got the right stream here. I'll make this a bit larger. Boom. Because we're going to go with this one for my face cam. And I like this blue little neon. Makes it look real fancy. Real fancy here. And let's make that a bit bigger. There we go. All right here. All right, well, join me for some Switch golf, and then I'll start yapping about all the cool stuff that I've experienced this week, people I've ran into, situations I've done, what we got going on this weekend, and then also plans for the near future. So, without further ado, get me to the room. All right. Is this, yeah, talking. Me. Very nice. All right. Make sure that's not too loud there. Turn it down so it's mostly background music here. Bring the chat closer to me so I can actually see it. How's everybody's day going? Oh, Cheyenne, I doubt my dad knows about Insanotech, because I don't think I've streamed to it before. If you could give my dad, because I know he looks forward to the getting ready. And this is less about the golf. He would never watch me play video games, but I'm sure he would want to yap. Very nice here. All right, now I can see your chat loud and clear here. Your dad has been notified you're on this channel today. All right, very nice. Thank you, Shane. Thank you very much. All right, here. All right, so let me start with, oops. Boop. But I can send a link. I told him the name. Oh, no, you got to send him a direct link. I've told him, but yeah, I remember when we did the Al Silva channel, because he had the Epic D Guy channel. It's like, it took him weeks. It took him weeks to get to the channel, because it's like I needed to send him a direct link so he could just hit it and subby. So that'd be helpful. Super Dad. Oh, Super Dad. Very nice. So anyway, let me tell you guys about what I did. Actually, I should probably wait until my dad gets in the chat for what I did on, what's today? Oh, today's Tuesday. It was yesterday. It was literally yesterday. We'll back this up a little bit. What's been going on beyond that? So what's really cool is I've been going to bed ridiculously early the last few days here. It's because I've been exhausted. I've been absolutely exhausted. So instead of normally staying up too late, so therefore you're more tired the next day, so therefore now you're dragging your feet on getting things done, and then it takes longer. It's like, so the last few nights, I've just went to bed at like 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock or whatever, just like really early, get home from work, eat dinner, clean up a little bit, and then I'm falling asleep on the couch, and I'm like, all right, well, let me go to bed. So I haven't been able to get much of the outside stuff done, like editing. There's one video for a client that I have to do, but I have Thursday where I don't have band practice, and so I'm going to use that to get that client's video. But honestly, that client, it's like such a weird request. This client's like, hey, I want you to, all right, I can get this out of the way. I want you to create this YouTube video for me, and here's some pictures and here's some video, and make it like 90 seconds long. And make sure it has a good thumbnail and a good title, and make sure your content's really good. And I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like a commercial. And like, I'm going to make this first one so I can gauge. This is why it's like when you're working with clients, you really need to like really get their vision, really get their focus, ask a lot of questions to get specifically what they want. And so I was under the I was understanding or under the assumption that they wanted an ad for their cleaning company. But the more I like read into this, I think they want like an actual like YouTube video, like a, I don't know, like oh, steam cleaning's really cool, and I don't know. I don't know what they want, but like, you know how all you guys, when you watch YouTube, you skip ads? Why would anybody watch a 2-minute ad? There's no reason to watch a 2-minute, and I think that's what they want, is a 2-minute ad that they think will do well. And I gotta tell them, like, that's not how this works. Like, if they want to create a YouTube, I was talking to my brother about this, because my brother is actually a certified electrician and plumber. So he runs his own business, and I was like, oh, I could do commercials for you guys, and he's like, oh, that'd be really cool. He's like, I've been wanting to like start a YouTube channel up and stuff. I was like, that's a great idea. I think any business, this is part of the future of advertising and media, is social media and YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff, right? And I was like, but the thing is, you got to know, like, nobody's going to watch your channel if it's just commercials about what you guys do. It's like, it has to be like how-tos. Like, obviously, you would still want to pay somebody to be going through your electricity, the wires and stuff, because nobody wants to touch it. But you could do videos on like, hey, this is how I replaced the breaker panel in this property. Or this is how I ran new plumbing for this. This is how I installed a hot water tank, Most people probably won't do it, but they'll watch a video on you doing it. And then the few people that actually want to do that, that'll be helpful for them, because then they can see a real-life professional trying to do that, which is pretty cool. Let me get down. So that's really cool. And then the other week I went to dinner with my mom and my brother and my sister. It was like the whole shebang there. And my brother-in-law, his name's Justin. He's like, hey man, have you heard of these content creators like, I can't remember who he named. I think it was like, let me cook. No. That's a little too hard. I can't remember who he named, but he's like, they're like creating worlds in Grand Theft Auto, right? And people are paying them money to run these Grand Theft Auto worlds. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, they're paying them like real life money to be like essentially the person that like makes sure everything's running, make sure it's all smooth, blah, blah. And he's like, they're making like $10,000, $20,000 a month. I was like, oh, that's crazy. He's like, you should look it up. And then my sister called me the other day. Did you look up that Grand Theft Auto thing? I was like, no, I didn't look up that Grand Theft Auto thing yet. But that's pretty crazy. I did see another video about people talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. And when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, they're going to create like a in-game currency that you can trade in for real-life money. and something like that. So there's something about the digital world meshing with the real world and them needing actual people to run the digital. It just sounds nuts, to be honest. But I'm down to make money on anyway. My dad's here. Thank you. All right. Hey. So let me tell you guys about this. So yesterday I actually finally met with Todd. Todd was the client that reached out to me. What was so funny is the backstory. I released an ad on Facebook, and let me chop this.
Nice job.
I released an ad on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey man, I'll do any 1 minute video for $20." And and I remember when I created that thing, I was thinking, man, even if I just got a couple people that pay me $20, that's 40, 60, 80, $100. Hey, that's more money than I got now. And because of that ad, I've made 3 really cool connections. 2 of them monetized. Or, well, actually, 4 really cool connections. 3 of them monetized, and 1 that's just a cool dude to chat with that, once he gets his feet off the ground, he'll be somebody that can pay for services as well. But what's funny is, let me cook. Dang. I met with this one dude that I've been talking for weeks. For weeks, he's been like, hey, man, you should come out to my shop. Hey, man, any day. Like, oh, and I'm like, okay, I'll come out on Monday. And then Monday comes, and I'm like, hey, Todd, are we still good to go out on Monday? And he's like, oh, man, I'm doing this thing. I'm like, no problem. Let's do Thursday. And then Thursday comes and can't do Thursday. And I've just been we're keeping each other on a line. And then he went on a cruise and he was gone for a week. And I wanted to make sure I didn't forget about him. He didn't forget about me. So it was like a week after that. He was like, I didn't forget about you. I just went on this cruise. I was like, no problem, Todd, whenever you're ready. And finally, after probably a couple months, it's been a couple months since I had this guy's contact. And I finally met him at his shop. His shop is super cool. He runs like a painting, not a painting business, but like a car detailing business. Like he paints on cars and drag racers and like all sorts of really cool stuff. Super legit. And he's been wanting to start a YouTube channel, but he doesn't really know what to do. And he had a guy that he was not like he didn't know this dude. He was like a friend in some way. And he was like, hey, man, I'll pay you to do these videos. You edit the videos. And the guy was just like, I don't feel like it, bro. I don't feel like it. So, like, because his one editor didn't even feel like doing it, he didn't feel like creating anything. And so it just kind of demotivated him. But then he said he came across my ad. And he was like, it was so funny. And it was like all the little memes and all the sound effects and like the editing and everything you did. I was like, that's exactly what I want on my channel. That's why I reached out to you. I was like, awesome. And he's like, I got these friends that keep telling me about how much money they make on YouTube, and they do almost the same thing he does, very similar to what he does. And basically, his problem is he can only take on so much work. He passes up more work than he gets. He might get 10 clients that want to do some work with him, and he can only take 5 of them. So he has like more clients than he has time. But the problem is he wants to spend less time doing that sort of work and more time spending time with his family. And he's like, and it'd be really nice if we can kind of involve, oh man, I knew that was going to be bad, some of the lifestyle stuff I do, like the drag racing, like dune buggies and this and that, and going to these places, to involve that content as well. So then it's like a win-win. Like I'm spending time with my family, I'm spending time doing what I love, but it's bringing in revenue. Versus right now, all the revenue he makes is him working. And the work he does is so specific that he can't even he can't even just hire other people. You know what I mean? Like he has to do it himself. And so he's just maxed out. He's like, man, I want to be able to add this like supplemental income, because his buddies that do the same thing, they're like, basically they dropped half of their workload and their YouTube channels make up the other half of the revenue. So if anything, they make more money now doing less, working less hours, doing less, and doing more of the fun stuff they want to do. And he's like, so that's the idea. And he's like, I'm not really quite sure where to start. And he's like, but I do have like a lot of footage from this big collaboration he did with this guy. This guy's channel that has like, I can't remember how many he has, like 1 million subscribers or something like that, one of his friends. And he did this really, what do they call it? Like a very specific, there's a different word for it because it's like unique. It was a very unique thing. He airbrushed wood paneling on this guy's drag racer. So it looks like one of those old station wagons with the wood paneling. And he airbrushed it so good, it looks like wood paneling, but it's not wood paneling. It's just his paint job, right? And so he did that for that guy's channel. And so he's like, basically, he has all this footage he's been holding on to, but he doesn't want to start unless we're ready to go. Unless it's like, basically, he doesn't want to create momentum and then let it die and then have to get it back going again and then let it die. He's like, once we get going, I want to just go full force. And I was like, no, I love it. I think that's the right way to go. Because honestly, that's been my problem most of the time is like, I'm like ready to go and I got all these ideas and then I do one or two and then that's the Epic D Guy channel. It's just, yeah, no, yeah. And then no, nothing for months. And then, yeah. Like I'm so inconsistent on that channel. It's crazy. But it has the bones to be successful. It's like I spread myself too thin. So he's like, I want to do this. And he's like, I'm willing to pay you like, you know, I don't know how you want to go about this, but like basically like you tell me what you think is fair. Like, I don't know, maybe you want to make the first video and then tell me what you think is fair for compensation for your time and stuff. But like the idea is like, obviously the more money I make, the more I'm able to pay you. And he's like, the grand scheme of things would be like, obviously if this takes off and this is something that can generate enough revenue, like I would hire you on full time. So that way you could dedicate to this, you know what I mean? Because right now the hardest part is going to be like, where do I fit in all the hours needed? Because he needs somebody to record him. All my other clients, they record themselves and then they send me the footage and then I just edit it. He needs somebody to record him and edit. So it's like a double whammy. And I told him, like, obviously editing is most of the work, truth be told. But with his specific niche, I'm like so close on all these putts. With his specific niche, there's a lot of footage. You know what I mean? Like imagine airbrushing some crazy flames on a thing and blah, blah, blah. It probably takes a couple hours. You know what I mean? So I'd have to be there recording him. And what's cool is like, it really does, you know, if you've watched any sort of like TLC, American Choppers or like any of these shop shows, like when I walked into his shop, I was like, it feels like a show already. You know what I mean? Like there's his plaques all over the wall. He got half cars and all these things. He got like a whole painting room, like sectioned off, like double door. Like it's pretty legit. It's really cool. And he's like, yeah, so like what can we do? When can we get started? I said, well, I guess step one is like, how much do you want to post? And he's like, realistically, like it might be too hard to post more than once a week right now for you, as in me. I'm like, yeah, truth be told, it probably would. It probably would be too hard to do more than one video. But I said, how about this? Why don't we do one video and we'll do a lot of shorts. Like every day we can release a short, but yeah, it might take a week. But I said, this is what we should do. We should have a few videos lined up, chopped up, edited, ready to go, not released yet though. Have like a couple weeks worth of footage ready to go. And then when we start, we have basically a runway, like a backlog. So we'll release a video that I edited a month ago. And then every week it's like I still have a 3-week gap as I'm getting more footage. So I told them, you know, Mondays, I have a bunch of hours I can come over and record whatever. And then every other day, like Tuesdays, Thursdays, I could stop by for like an hour, get some footage, or we can game plan or whatever. And then I was like, every other weekend when I don't have my kids, like the Saturday, Sunday, I mean, I could like make a whole day of it, like 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday and stuff like that. Which is really cool. It says I've earned everything. I can't even earn anything no more. So I was like, yeah, that's really cool. And he's like, and I'll compensate you. Obviously, like I know it's an investment in the beginning. But the problem is like, I really need to get him a number but I can't get him a number until I know how much actual work is involved. You know what I mean? So that way I can tell him, like, all right, look, I was recording with you for 10 hours, and then I was editing for another 20. That's 30 hours worth of work. Now, 30 hours, realistically, what would I want to make at bare minimum? Well, realistically, I want to make $20 an hour times 30, 20 times 30. That's $600. But you got to think about this. There's no way his videos are going to make $600. First of all, not right off the bat, but by the time they make $600, with his niche, he's probably going to make, like, let's say $5 per thousand. $5 per thousand. Quick math, Cheyenne. He would need double. Obviously, he would need to make more than what he's paying me. He would need to make $1,200 per video in order for half of it to go to me to make the video. So whatever 1,200 divided by 5 is, 1,200 divided by 5, and that's going to be how many thousands of views he's going to need his video to have. And so I'll wait for that quick maths to work, but it's going to be like a lot of views. But this is the thing. He started a Facebook and an Instagram, and he's like, I've posted 2 photos on the Instagram, and he's posted like a photo here and there, a couple posts here and there on his Facebook, and he already has 10,000 subscribers from doing nothing. He's like, I haven't done anything, and I got 10,000 subscribers. He's like, people, obviously, what his 240, so that's 240,000. So he needs to make 240,000 views in order to truly pay me what is worth for me and what it'll still be worth for him to make money. 240,000 views. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if he gets 500,000 views per video he does, well then, yeah, that seems really reasonable. He'll be profitable. He'll be able to spend time with his family, take out a job or two. That sounds like a win-win for everybody. But it's going to take time. And I know I was talking to my dad about this, and he's like, I think that guy has potential. I really think this guy has a lot of potential, too. He has a very specific niche, which YouTube loves, right? A specific type of content. But it's also such a, when we say a niche, usually it's like you don't think there's that many people in it. This is car guy niche, right? So you're thinking, oh, car guy niche. How many car guys are there? Millions, tens of millions. Like, car guy niche is like one of the biggest niches with the fewest amount of creators. It's one of the most profitable niches there can be. Because every other niche, think about gaming, right? Well, there's hundreds of millions of gamers, but there's also tens of millions of content creators that create gaming content. So there's a lot of competition in the creators to vie for the same viewers. Versus in car guy niche, not everybody owns a shop where they're working on $50,000 cars, $100,000 cars, you know what I mean? Or going to work on drag racers. How many guys do you know working on drag racers? This is what I'm saying. It's a wide-reaching niche with a very low competitive rate. So it's perfect, and he's really nice. He's super cool. He's like really down to earth, super chill, and I think he'll do well. Like, I just feel that people would watch him. You know what I mean? He's not like the most crazy outgoing dude, wackiness or whatever, but he's not boring either. When he was showing me his friends, his one friend is like really chill. This is how we do things. Hey, let's go work on this thing, blah, blah. And then his other friend is the extreme, the, whoa, let's get crazy and we're doing this. Hell yeah. And he's like in the middle. And if both of those friends are successful on both ends of the spectrum, him being in the middle, I think it'll either have equal success, if not greater success. But the problem is his one friend that's like the hell yeah, like let's go. He's been growing so long. At this point, he's doing crazy. He's getting like, I rented a helicopter and we're doing this crazy thing and whatever. And it's because that guy has like 4 million subscribers or something like that now. So like his videos he's going Mr. Beast style where he gets a bunch of money from his videos and then he just takes a bunch of money to make the next video. So then his videos are just getting crazier and crazier. So, Todd has to start kind of from the bottom with just the normal stuff he's doing. But it's it's good stuff. And I know a lot of people will watch it, so it'll be really cool. So now we just got to figure that out. So his next step is he's going to get me a bunch of the footage he got from that wood grain airbrushing thing, and then he's going to send it to me, and then I'm going to try to create like a bunch of shorts with it. And then what he's going to do is, like, once he gets the footage from that guy that he did the thing for that has like the million subbies, then we'll create a long form video. And then once everything's ready, then I'll be able to like post all the do. And when you watch a short, you know, on the bottom, it'll say, if you like this, click on the full length video. And then they'll watch the full length, and it'll be like a cycle. The full length, people watch the full length video. They might still watch the shorts because they'll be like really quick, 10, 15 seconds, like the funny moments, the ha-has, or just the cool little details for people that are just into the art of it and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for that. I know it's going to be a lot of work, but it's one of those things where a lot of work in the beginning, creating an opportunity for less work in the end. Because right now I have to do everything with a 40-hour job. You know what I mean? I work 9 to 5. I can't just drop it. The only way I can drop it is if I have a steady stream of income that I can rely on. And I know I talked to my dad, and he's like, well, I mean, you can't say your real job has job security because, like, they can get rid of you at any moment. It is true, but I guess there's, like, levels of job security. Like, they could technically get rid of you at any moment, but, like, the odds of it are much lower than, like, you running a business, and it's like, I have clients, and then it could be like this, where the client's like, oh, I can't afford the next video. Oh, I got to pull out. You know, it's like, or right now I'm just kind of getting videos as they come. What happens if the stream stops and everybody's like, oh, I don't have a new client to get? The income can dry up immediately. So it's like really scary. So I would need to get to the point where it's like, I'm on such a trajectory that even if it flattens, it will still be enough to cover everything. Like, everything will still be good. And obviously that's going to be really, really difficult the farther along we go, because I'll still have the same constraints of the 40-hour work week in my way. But that's where I think if I only have a couple clients versus my original idea was they call it income streams, right? Multiple income streams. So maybe I have 10 clients that I'm doing videos for. So I'm doing, like, you know, I'm working on a video a day, 2 videos a day. In this scenario, because this guy's going to need me for so much time, and then I have Chase that I do the tech videos for that I think has a lot of potential as well. Because in the 1 short and the 2 long-form videos I've done for this guy, he's grown 6,000 subscribers from my videos that I've edited for him. 6,000. That's at this point, it's almost a 25% increase in his subscriber count, because he had 25,000 when I started working with him. So if he's grown 25% in his subbies from 3 videos that I don't think were, like, really well planned out, really good ideas, like his camera looks like crap too, like, he's already grown 6,000 subbies. Wait until we have better videos, good ideas, and wait until I go over there and fix his camera settings and everything looks good. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm like, okay, he has, once again, a very specific niche, super nerdy tech stuff where he's, like, on the chips, like, he's doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But once again, you would think, like, oh, there's a lot of people in the tech space. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of people just talking about tech. Yeah, here's an iPad, stuff like that. How many people do you know that actually take them apart, that actually pull apart CPUs and stuff like that? Nobody, bro. You don't know nobody that does that. So he has another high potential, vast audience pool. And the videos that he's putting in now, I'm reading the comments, and they're like, man, I love the way your video looks. You got a subscriber. Or, man, this video was funny. Glad I came across your video. Glad the algorithm gave me your video. Like, most of the comments are, like, about how they enjoyed the video, which obviously he is the person in it and he's doing a thing, but realistically, I feel like those are comments about the work. You know what I mean? Those are like, oh man, I found this video funny. Well, if you would have saw the raws, you wouldn't have thought it was funny. He gave me 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours worth of footage. 3.5 hours worth of footage that I had to reduce down to 20 minutes. It was mostly just him failing over and over and over again. And I said, man, how do I make this enjoyable? It's just 15 minutes worth of failing. And I thought, like, well, that's most of the story is him failing. The video is essentially the journey of him going from, I'm going to fix this thing, and then how it doesn't work over and over again, no matter what he tries, no matter what he changes out. He even gets a new part of the thing that he's doing, and it still doesn't work. And so I made it about kind of that. And those were the memes that I put into that video and all that stuff. And so to see like this video that I was pretty sure was not going to be good at, when he sent me that video, I was like, bro, this is going to be a complete, utter flop. This is going to flop hard. And it didn't flop. It got thousands of views and made up tons of subbies. I'm like, no way. That's amazing. It's glitchy a little bit for you too. I don't know. It seems all right to me. Let me see. Let me throw this on to verify audio here. No, it sounds all right to me. But obviously YouTube, like I said, I titled the first video before I had to stop it. I said YouTube hates me, or YouTube doesn't like me. I don't know what I did, but YouTube's been hating on me. So maybe YouTube's like, bro, he's trying to get around his shadow ban that we gave him on his other channel. Make sure his audio's wonky and his stuff glitches out. So I guess that's that. No, that's good. But you guys are hardwired in, so it's not my internet. Internet looks good over here on my end. Boop, boop, boop. I gotta be able to win one of these things while I'm doing this here. Let me see on this if I can adjust that quality. I'm gonna go specific, 1080, 60. Maybe it's because I stream at a higher bit rate, that if on the user's end, if their connection can't keep up with the bit rate, then it probably fails. But if I go on a lower bit rate, it looks visually, you know what I mean? It looks, the resolution doesn't look as good, the frame rate's not as smooth. And the idea behind that is eventually, when I want to edit these things, unless I record and stream at the same time, which I'm not sure if this computer can handle, and I really just don't want to break it, I have to download the live stream after it's done from YouTube. So if I don't upload it at a high bit rate, which might cause some lagginess issues for you, then it's going to look like crap when I go to download. There's the one short I made. Which one was it? I think it might be the pizza. I can't remember, one of the shorts I did for the Getting Ready channel. And you could just tell, like, it looks like crap. It's really pixelated and boxy. And I was like, dang, it looks like crap. But that was the only footage I had of that episode, was the really pixelated, boxy one. So I had to kind of go with it. You have crappy Wi-Fi. I think that's what it is, because my dad, you know, he's out in the boonies, and he's, like, using his phone Wi-Fi. So I think that's what it is. I think it's because your guys' Wi-Fi isn't good enough. That's why, because I'm trying to stream at 1080p, 60 frames a second, 10,000 bit rate, trying to get some good stuff here. Realistically, YouTube should be managing that. On your guys' end, it should be like, oh, let's compress this so it's not so bad. But they're not. They're not doing that for you guys, which is sad. Man, look at this hill. There's no way. There's no... It's so close. I'm so close. So anyway, I'm just going to keep going because there's nothing I can do about the audio, I don't think, here. Let me try to see if I can hear it myself. Dude. Oh, maybe. Oh, I kind of see it. I think I kind of see how the problem is my phone tries to roam to Canadian services because how close to the border you are. Oh, that makes sense. I think I see what my dad's saying about it chopping because I see it on mine. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, that's crazy. Hang on, let me try. Let me try this mic out. Got a whole new mic. You might hear my echo, but I'm trying to verify if the audio works. Verify, check, 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 and the sound is good. Let's see here. Yeah, it really is glitching out on the audio from my iPad that I'm seeing here. But we're going to see if this is fixed now with the new microphone, or if maybe it was an ATEM error, because it could be the ATEM as well. Before I tell my next story.
Nice shot.
Oh, yeah. Get down there. Fairway. Mm-hmm. Toot, toot. Sound. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's not. Interesting. Interesting. But Cheyenne says it's working for her. Man, what a conundrum. I don't know what YouTube's doing. I don't know what they're doing to me. But I do not appreciate it. Oh, man, that was hooked. Ultra sad. Yeah, I can, like on mine, it keeps cutting, like it's doing sound stuff, and then it is silent for just a split second here. I could tell because the switch sound goes out. Interesting. I don't know.
Nice par.
Hey.
Semi-final.
Hey, hey, hey. All right, try plugging in the microphone directly, like directly into my audio box thing. So we're going to see if this makes
Nice
a
shot.
difference at all. We're going to see how that works. Does anybody know the name of the bank is that Cash App is? Is Cash App not its own thing? What bank does Cash App use? Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank, and it partners with Sutton Bank and Lincoln Savings Bank for its banking services. Sutton Bank and Lincoln Savings Banks. Interesting. They're like, they're bank adjacent. They're like, we don't do our own thing, which is kind of weird. I guess they're like the Uber of banking. What the heck is that? All right, now tell me if the audio works better now. Because we're going to see if this is... No, it's cutting out. It's still cutting out. Oh, no, people. This is nuts. That's crazy. That's crazy. Cheyenne, are you not seeing it where it's like I'm talking and then all of a sudden I'm like not talking but my lips are still moving? Because on my iPad it's doing it where I can hear where I'm talking in real life. Got approved for shipped, but I don't want to use the DoorDash card. Oh, shipped. Very nice. Oh no, I gotta get this in the time limit. They're gonna ban me. Oh no, go. I gotta chip it in right now. Oh no. Oh, I'm not gonna make it. Super weird. I can't do nothing. YouTube don't let me do nothing no more, dude. Let me cook. Didn't work. Ultra sad. I don't know what's happening. It's really sad. Oh. Oh well. Oh well.
Time's up.
Time's up. I can hear it like it's cutting out. Where's JC? It's his day off. Remember how I was like, oh, company policy. When you're happy, you can take a happy day. You can be like, oh, hey, man, I'm happy. I want to come. No, I'm just joking. But it was so funny when we were talking about that. It's like, oh, he had plans already. He forgot it was Tuesday. And like I said, honestly, I was like even considering not live streaming. And what was funny was I sat down to live stream and YouTube's like, don't do it. You can't. I was like, what about my other channels? They're like, well, maybe. But then when I put my other channel on first, the OBS was like, no, you can't do that either. I was like, I can't stream on any of my channels? You don't know who I am. How crazy. That's the problem. You know, you're talking about like how I was talking about job security, you know, whatever. You're at the like, you know, I talk about it all the time that I would like to be a YouTuber. I'd like to make money. See, right now, path one, make money working for other people doing this thing, right? Video editing, video recording, social media managing, all that good stuff, right? But the real goal is to make the money doing it myself. And then I pay people to edit. I pay people to video record. I pay people to social media manage. That's the goal. That's the goal. I'm going to do it at first because then, obviously, at first, let me cook. It's going to be a learning experience. As I'm doing it for other people, I can learn and I can grow and I can gain this experience and wisdom and knowledge. So then when I'm really ready to do it myself, it's going to be like snap. I already think, we've already talked about this. I already think I can be successful. Easy peasy. But the problem is I never have enough time. But then the backup problem is I never have enough money because I'm so poor all the time. So I figured kill one bird at a time. I don't know if that's the right slogan, but basically money needs to come first because if I get money, I can pay off debt. I can buy a house. I can get a better car, set myself up. You know what I mean? Like these are things normal human beings need to live and achieve themselves, right? That's level one. So once I have that stuff, and now I can dedicate more time to the things that aren't necessity. Like once you get a house, yeah, you're paying a mortgage for 30 years, but that's it. You got the house, like you're good. Some people, they move every few years. I want to get a good enough house where it's like it has the core tenets of what I'm looking for. A basement, a garage, and then at least 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, a basement, and a garage. That's it. It don't even need to be in the best condition. I'm willing to work it. I'm willing to like put up walls, redo the floors, basically anything that's not like core, like electrical, plumbing. But then I got Ramon. Ramon's a plumber. He's an electrician. So it's like, even if it did need that, I guess that's not so bad. But I'm kind of hoping that
Finish.
it's like one of those things where it's like a fixer-upper, but it's not like a gutter. Because my first house was a gut. Like every single thing, every wall, every floor, all the electrical, all the plumbing, all the insulation, the roof. Literally every single thing about that house had to be redone. That was my first house. And I just don't have time for that because I need to live in it. Because I can't be paying for an apartment and a house. So the idea is save up money, build credit, get a down payment, get a house, live in the house, and then fix it up as I go. Each month have a different focus. Like, all right, this month I'm going to focus on the kitchen. Next month I'm going to focus on the living room. Month after that, it's time for the basement, whatever the process is. So that way I can get things done in chunks. It doesn't all have to get done at once because I can't live in it. Like my first house, it was unlivable until it was actually put together, which would have been pretty cool. Sunroom for your catio. So what I would do is like one of those outdoor, it's like a maze sort of thing. Yeah, the catio, but it can go more than one place. Like, because I wouldn't want my cats to like actually go outside. Like some people have like outdoor cats. Like they just let them out and they just roam the streets like hooligans or something like that, and then they come home for feeding. That's nuts. I would never let my cat do that. But I would, obviously, it'd probably want to go outside. It wants to sniff the fresh air and feel the grass under its feet. So yeah, catio, but then make it where it's like it goes, because maybe I have a house that has, maybe this isn't the first house, but eventually get a house with like a wraparound porch. And then next to the wraparound porch is a wraparound catio. So then the cat can go all around the property. That'd be pretty sick. No, my issue is only keep getting pixely and then clear again. But not the audio. That's interesting. That the audio is even an issue on my end here. So sad. So sad. Oh.
The contestants.
But oh yeah. Oh, my head's hot. Get your epic disappointment hat. Get it on the merch store. Except for not in the rebuy. I was thinking of even like funneling everything that was merchandise through the one, but then I was like, well, realistically, the merchandise that's banned merchandise, that technically has to be split. The funds need to be split with the band. We don't really split anything except for like live shows. I guess we'll split the $12 we made. But for the most part, oh, that's gonna be OB. For the most part, whatever money we get, it's to do more stuff. Like we've paid for recording, we've paid for, certain merchandise. Now the guys want to get wristbands and stickers. That's the big 2 items. But they also want to get a bunch of real shirts to bring to the shows because they're like, everybody always brings merch. And we never have no merch. Everybody brings shirts. We don't have shirts. I'm like, guys, we'd have to buy the shirts. You understand that, right? Like, we could do that. It's not like a physical impossibility. But we'd have to buy them. So, like, if you want to bring 2 of each size, small, medium, large, extra large, that's, let's say 15. I don't even think it's 15. $12 each. So 24, 48, 96, 120. I don't know. I can't do the math when I'm really tired. But let's say it's $120. So, well, guys, we need $120 to get the shirts you guys want to get. And then you want stickers. Well, stickers aren't like, you would think, oh, well, let's just print off some shitty stickers. You want merchandise that's good enough for people to want to use in some capacity. We had, I don't remember if it was Dylan or Michael, but they printed out some Epic Disappointment stickers themselves, and they didn't consult me in any way. Otherwise, I would have been like, oh, guys, that sticker is it looks terrible. It's not going to be able to visually pop and whatever, all this stuff. But it was with our old logo where it was a little more spray painted like look, Epic Disappointments with a pill, but they put it on a black sticker that's a clear black sticker, and like the red, it was like red and black. But anyway, so you took the sticker off the non-stick paper, and then you went to go stick it on something, but it just looked like a black square. You couldn't even really see the Epic Disappointment behind it unless you stuck it on something that was like white, because the thing was see-through. So if you stuck it on something black, the red appeared black. So you needed to stick it on a white wall for the red to appear red. It just didn't make any sense, and they made like 100 of these stickers or something like that. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now, what they should have done was just made normal stickers on... If you want to do it cheap, I remember way back in the day for Vertical Killing Machine, you get, when you used to mail a letter, and they have stickers for like the return addresses, and then the sheet is like 20 stickers for all your return addresses. Well, then, yeah, you could just put a logo and put the name, right? Vertical Killing Machine with I don't know, we had like a VKM that we were trying to make happen for a little bit. That would be the cheap way to go. I think that's like, there's a term for this, like doing wrong right. Like you're doing wrong and doing wrong right. Usually it's in issues of morality. In this instance, it's like, all right, if you're going to do something wrong, which is like make stickers yourselves and they're going to be cheap and shitty looking, you might as well do it the right way, so that way people will at least like be able to see the sticker, be able to use them. But realistically, we would buy them from a sticker company, and then they cost like 50 cents per sticker because you get them in bulk. So you can get 100 stickers for $50.
Nice shot.
Which is not bad, realistically, but that's still $50. Now you add the 120 for the shirts, $50 for the stickers, and they want to get these wristbands. And we used to have these wristbands for Vertical Killing Machine. We got this crazy deal one day where it was, you bought 100 wristbands. I think it was like for $30. You bought 100 wristbands for $30, and they were doing this crazy deal where if you bought 100, you got 200 for free. It doesn't even make sense, right? So we're like, yeah, let's do that. So we bought 300 of these wristbands, and we were like giving them away. Like at first we were trying to sell them, right? Because it's like to recoup the cost. But then nobody wants to buy merch from some unknown shitty band. You know what I mean? So then we're just trying to give them away, and we're just throwing them, giving away. And then even all these years later, it's been like 10 years since more than 10 years since we got these wristbands, and we still got like a bag of these wristbands. Like we probably still have like 100 wristbands left for Vertical Killing Machine, which is nuts. So that's a really good deal, is the wristbands, because that's something people can throw on, which would be pretty cool. So they were like, let's do wristbands. I'm like, okay, that's cool. We went to go look up the wristbands. Now it's $70 for 100. But if you buy 100, you get another 100 for free. So it's 200 for $70. In the grand scheme of things, 200 for $70 isn't bad. That's about 35 cents per wristband. If we actually did sell them for $1, that's a profitable item. That sounds fine. Now, obviously, you're not really trying to sell merchandise in the beginning to be profitable, because you're not going to sell enough of them to actually sustain you in any sort of way. It's more about advertising. It's more about name recognition. Like, oh, hey, I want to get this wristband. Oh, this is cool. Oh, I like your wristband. Who's that? Oh, it's this band. Went to their show and they rocked ass. It was really cool. So that would make sense. So it's like, realistically, it's an investment. So we're talking 70 plus 120 plus the 50. So we need like $250. We just spent $250 on recording this album, or not this album, it's an EP, it's 4 songs. And I'm gonna just be like dead honest with you guys. I don't think it's gonna see the light of day. I don't think I'm gonna release it. I'm gonna release Mario's song, because Mario's song came out good for what it is. Because Mario's song is just this straight up old school, like my dad was like, oh, it sounds like kind of a Ramones style song, something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Just like this old school, like, like even when Garrett's drumming, the look he puts on, it reminds me of like old rock band from like 2007, where you just see
Let's
the
go.
character as he's drumming. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, it just has that straight up raw, authentic, old school punk feel. And so the recording reflects that, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then for my songs, it's like the opposite of what I was going for. And it's not because of the recording engineer. It was because we weren't able to dedicate enough time to it, and because Garrett just refused to do the click beforehand. And so now, because of this, and this is why sometimes mistakes are valuable, lessons are valuable, even if it's a loss of money, because it'll get you the result that you want in the end. And so after this incident of this recording, I told Garrett straight up, I was like, I'm not recording again, unless you master the click. I'm not doing it. It's embarrassing. We can't get the sound I want to go for. We normally I would do when I record myself. Every one of these demos that I make to show you guys, each one of those probably took me at least 10 hours to make. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to sit down and record the first guitar part all the way to the very last thing, putting the bells and whistles on there, blah, blah, blah. It's probably like 10 hours just to remake a demo. So it takes a lot of work, but that is like what I'm going for. The sound, I guess the style of the sound. I wish it sounded better, fuller, crispier, or whatever it is, like that professional sheen that you need an actual a recording engineer to do.
Nice
That's
shot.
the last piece of the puzzle, realistically. But as far as like how the style of the sound, it's what I'd like. I want to sound like
Nice on.
Sum 41, Blink 182, Green Day, Newfound Glory. Just name all these, like, not the newer pop punk stuff, like A Day to Remember, and I'm trying to think of these other bands that are out there nowadays where I'm like, I just hear it and I'm like, that's not really pop punk. I think they're calling it easy core nowadays, because it's like really, they're going for like this really hard stuff, but they're like, I don't know. It's just this weird blend where it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's not something I'm really into. Versus that old school pop punk where it was like, it was a raw emotional energy that was refined in production. So it sounds good. That's why they call it pop punk, right? Popular, mainstream. Like you'd hear it on the radio, but it's punk in its aggression. It's punk in its authenticity. You know what I mean? Pop, just straight up pop, is like Britney Spears. That's pop, right? There's no aggression. There's no authenticity. There's no emotions. I mean, there could be some emotions, but you get what I'm saying. It's very sterile, I guess would be the word, right? And then punk is the opposite of that. Raw, gritty, sometimes even shitty sounding. Like that's punk. So pop punk is like the marriage of the two. Bring out the elements of the emotions and the energy of punk, but refine it so it can be easily accessible, easily digestible to people that listen to it. That's what I'm going for. And so I just can't get, like, when I heard the songs that we recorded in the way that we recorded them, it sounds raw and it sounds like a local band. And I'm just like, no, I don't. Isn't that the point? Nobody wants to say. What's funny is, like, when you talk to these local bands, because I've been talking to local bands for, like, I've been in the scene, talk about the scene, I've been in the scene since 2008. 17 years, right? And for some reason, all these local, I think I was telling Mario about this. I was like, why do all these shitty local bands want to sound like shitty local bands? Like when you ask them, like, all right, how do you want to record, or, what's your process, or what are you going for in their sound? They're like, I just want to sound like raw, I just want to sound like just capture us in a bottle, and it's like, but don't you, like, to me, it's like, don't you want to sound better than what you are? Don't you want to sound like the best version of yourself? Because nobody's, like, listening to that shitty raw thing and going like, oh yeah, that's I know people are into garage rock. That's a whole genre, garage rock. Um, and all the people that are into straight punk, hardcore punk, like all that really just. But it's like I don't know if I'm. It's almost like think of like any band when they're in their early stages. They sound really raw. They sound really like unproduced, unrefined, right? And then as they get bigger, as they gain more fans and they get more money for a good studio time, they sound more well produced. The sound gets better and bigger and cleaner and easier. We're talking about mainstream, right? And then at some point they're like, "Oh man, how do we get that old energy back?" And then they start sounding shittier, and they're like, "Oh, like Metallica's a good example, right? Like Kill 'Em All, raw, 19-year-olds just going into the studio and just laying it down and whatever." Ride the Lightning, they're getting crazier, bigger guitars, all that stuff. Master Puppets are like, all right, this is going to be the peak. It's the crescendo. And Justice for All is kind of the outlier because they had like the whole bass issue and all that stuff. But then you get the Black Album, and it's like, oh, right, perfection. Like that is the audio pillar when it comes to any audio production. What do they call it? Like the I don't know, there's a term for it where it's like that is the cream of the crop. Like the Black Album, the way the guitars sound, the way the drums sound, the way the bass sounds, the way the vocals sound, the way the entire production sits together in a mix. Like the Black Album is the quintessential recorded album of the century. And then they're like, for Load, they're like, all right, let's pull it back a little bit. Like, let's not go all that out. 15 microphones to record the drums and all this crazy stuff they did. They did a lot of production in the back end for the Black Album. They're like, let's pull it back a little bit. And then Reload, they're like, a little bit more, pull it back. And then they got to Saint Anger. They're like, what happens if we all just jammed in the same room? and we turned off the snare and we just made it sound like we're just back at it, just raw. That's how progressions goes. It's like you start off as a shitty raw band. You should want to sound bigger and better and more professional and polished. And then at some point you're tired of sounding too polished and you want to get that raw sound again. And you start sounding shittier and shittier as time goes on, I guess. But for me, it's like I just want to skip the shitty phase. I just want to go right to the like, let's just sound good right off the bat. What's crazy to think is like, think of your favorite
Nice shot.
bands from back in the day. Think of Led Zeppelin or 70s Black Sabbath or something like any of these big bands, right? Well, back in the 70s and 80s, you needed a lot of money and a lot of know-how. You needed to know the right guys to have certain equipment that you just didn't have access to in order to record good stuff. But nowadays, you got GarageBand. Everybody, GarageBand comes free with every MacBook. And then you have digital versions of the same physical. Like, there's compressors that I have, like a digital version of a compressor. That physical compressor costs like $10,000. So yeah, you needed to book studio time and know a guy that had that $10,000 compressor. But nowadays they got a free plugin that like kind of replicates it for the most part. You still got to know how to use it, but you can have access. So the access to make better sounding stuff is easier to get now. A $50 microphone today is probably the equivalent of a $500 microphone in the 80s. And you know how stuff in the 80s sounded. Like, for the most part, like, we remember it
Nice call.
like, oh, that sounded pretty good. Like, in the day, you're like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. But now you compare something from the 80s. Like, for me, like, I'll listen to something like, a Megadeth album or just anything from that era, Slayer, right, from 80, 84, 85, 86, something like that. And I remember like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. But then you listen to something that was produced like today, same genre, like metal or something like that, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Like the old guitars, they don't sound as crisp, they sound a little muddy. And you're like, man, the reverb's a little... they didn't have all the technology to like kind of refine certain things, so they had to do a lot of things manually. And so like for that era, for that decade, you're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then nowadays you look back and it's like, man, relative as far as like audio goes, it actually doesn't sound that good. You can get a better sound from that these days. That's why a lot of artists did like a remastering in the early 2000s. Like I know Metallica, Megadeth, I think even like Red Hot Chili Peppers, because they had albums back from the 80s and the early 90s where bands were like, hey, we got all this new technology now. Why don't we take our old albums and kind of polish them up? Because now there's a bunch of stuff we can do to make it sound better. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like the access to make music sound good, it's there. It's available. So I don't know why bands these days want to sound shitty. Everybody can sound shitty. It takes no effort to sound shitty. So when I hear this band we recorded a couple weekends ago, they're called Lead Poisoning. I mean, I wasn't the guy producing it. Zachary was doing all the work. I just brought the equipment, and then I was giving my advice, like my ears. And they were like, yeah, we just want to go for that raw sound, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay. And so then they're doing the take, and they're all playing together. I'm not a fan of everybody playing together. And I know my band, we did that for the last couple of recordings, and I'm like, except for the EP with Waiting, Stand, Fight, Live Wrong, and Reflect. We did not do that. I was the one that produced that record, and I'm like, guys, we're doing this individual, because that's how big studios do. You know what I mean? Like, a big studio, you don't all just go in the room and you jam together. They have the guitars sit down with a click track. The guitar's usually the first track laid down. They call it a scratch track. You just lay down a scratch track. But you're still in time. It's just not going to be your final guitar track. After the guitarist does that, then they get the drummer to come in to a click, but listening to the guitar as well. The drummer lays down his track, and now that you have the good drum tracks, then the bassist comes in. Then he lays the bass down. Then you lay the guitar down, and you usually lay 2 to 4 guitar tracks. Then they'll have the leads, the solos, synthesizers, whatever else you're going to add. And then finally, the very last layer is the vocals. Everybody doing it one at a time. That's just how it's done. That's how it should be done, to be honest. Because then it isolates everything. Then if one person screws up, let's say you're laying the bass track, and you screw up, you just go, oh, okay, let me start back from the last part. And then you just keep going. Versus when you're all jamming together and one person screws up, well, you either have to start from the beginning if you're not doing a click track, or if you're doing a click track, you at least get to start from the last verse. But this band, they wanted to be so raw, they didn't want to do a click track. And I was like, oh no, this is going to sound like shit. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not the one doing this recording, because I really want to, as part of my company, when we say Epic Media Productions, one of the things, it's like video, audio, and photo. I already have a photography client lined up, so when it gets warmer out, she's going to want to do photos. And then I already have video clients, so the last thing I need is like an audio portfolio, like do somebody. And I want to create an ad. It's almost like a reverse ad, if you think about it, because I want it to be like, I'm looking for a band to record one song, because it's already going to take so much work, so I don't want to put like billions of work. It's like, I want to record a band. I want to do one song for you. We'll produce a single, and I won't even charge you. But there are rules. First of all, you got to play to a click track. Second of all, we're recording instruments individually. No, you're not all jamming together. Like, I'm going to put in the stipulations, like, this is how I'm going to want to record you. And I also want the ability to be able to give you guidance within reason. Like, obviously, you can just be like, no, bro, this is not it. But it's like, that's also something that I want to be able to do. It's like, that's part of production. A producer, some producers, they don't actually, you would think producers make things. That's in the word producer. But like Rick Rubin is like one of the most famous producers there ever was. And he doesn't produce anything. He famously said, they're like, what do you get paid for?
Nice
He's
shot.
like, I get paid because of my taste, and I know what my ears hear, and my opinion is worth that. So he gets paid for his opinion because of his taste that he knows is really well, because of how he, how he hears things and how he thinks they should be. And he's produced Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica, Slayer, like all these big bands where they're like, "Hey, Rick, what can we do for to make our sound better? What can we do to make this album better, whatever?" And that's what he comes there and he gives advice. Essentially, they pay him to give advice. So yeah, I like some audio editing. I'd like to produce it, but wouldn't it be way better if people paid me just for my opinion? Doesn't that make sense? So I want to be able to do that as well, because like when I heard that Lead Poisoning band, to be honest, there was some stuff I really did like. There were some songs when they got done with it, I was like, oh, I really like that song. What's the name of that? And they're like, whatever the hell the name of it was, I don't remember at this point. But it was one of those things where I would have been like, well, to be honest, guys, I think the intro, like, I don't know what the guy was doing on the drums where he's like, brum, 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 brum. I would have been like, don't do that. What happens if you did like a, just boom, snare in, start. And like to be able to have that sort of creative output input with the client as well, that's what I would be looking for. Maybe they have nothing. Maybe I just hear their song and I'm like, man, that's really good. No, this is solid. There's, I don't got nothing that I would change. But like I hear stuff like Zachary, he's one of the most vocal people that always tells me like, oh man, this part of this, or your vocals this thing, or Dylan's solo, or he has an opinion on every single thing we've ever done, right? And but how many times have I ever told Zachary, oh, I like this Natural Graffiti song, but like, man, the intro's too long, or why is this song 10 minutes long, or man, I like this riff, but you need to bring it back. Like, I don't give him none of that stuff. I'm just like, oh, that's cool, because honestly, like, he made that song with intentionality, just like I make mine with intention. Like, this is exactly what I was going for. Very rarely do I produce something where I bring it out to the real world where I'm like, I'm not really sure where I was going with that, but I just kind of finished it. Usually it's like refining until I'm like, yeah, oh, that's not right. And it's like until I know, like, yeah, that's what I'm going for. That's right. Then I can move on to the next thing. So it's like I'm usually really intentional with everything I do, which is so funny. I'm still obviously open for certain feedbacks, but it's like those are the things where it's like if somebody, I guess, was willing to listen, I would give it to them. But that's where I would put that in the ad. Like, I want to make your music sound the best it possibly can be. So yes, we record to a click. Yes, we're going to all do individual tracks. We're probably going to quad track guitars. And I'm not going to allow you to have any mistakes. If you screw up a boop on a solo, we're doing the solo over again. If the bass goes boom, boom, and it's not supposed to go boom, boom, we're going to do the part over again. Like, I just want to make sure the expectations are very clear that I want you to sound as good as you possibly can. One song for free. And I think in that instance, I feel like I'll get a bunch of people that'll be like, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want any, well, except for those shitty local bands that want to sound like shitty local bands, but anybody with a reasonable brain would go, well, shoot, I'd want to get recorded and sound as good as I can for free. That sounds great. And so I would hope to get like a submission list and then, go through it and then pick the client. You know what I mean? That'd be really cool to be able to do that. Like, man, I got 10 people that submitted to do a free song. Let me go through and see what, obviously they probably wouldn't have. It's not like I'd be doing an audio song for any band that's been established and doing touring. So they'd all be like little local acts. But everybody should have YouTube videos of them playing live or rough demos of stuff they recorded in their garage or something like that. That's what I would ask them to submit is like, give me something of what you're doing, the song you want me to record. Do you got like a rough demo of you in your basement? Do you got a live cam of the last time you played it on stage? And then I would go through those and I'd be like, oh man. And then I'd pick the one that I'm like, oh, I can make something really good out of this. That'd be really cool.
Golf.
Because then the idea would be like, if I could actually get a band that has like really high potential, and then I do a good song for them, and then it works really well, and then they go, wow, that worked really well. Could we pay you for a second song or an EP or an album? I'd be like, oh, yeah, you can pay me. Like we talk about all the time. You could pay me to do just about anything. Jason's always like, don't say it like that. I mean, when it comes to work. When it comes to work, if you're willing to pay me, I'll do it. I do have the limitation of time, but I think audio production's one of those things where I think I would have a better time doing it for someone else. Because when I do it for myself, there's all this like intense pressure that I put on myself to make it sound like what I hear in my head.
Round one.
And because I want to sound like Green Day, Blink-182, Sum 41, like these crazy bands that pay $20,000 and are in the studio for 3 months, and you know what I mean, they work with recording engineers that have been doing it for 20 years. I want to sound like that.
Nice
And
shot.
do you see how I don't have a ton of money? I don't have 20 years experience. I'm not in the studio for 3 months. Like, I want to sound like that without having those things. So it's hard for me to produce my own content. But I think if I got with local bands and I said, hey, I can make you sound better than anything you would have made, or anything you would have paid somebody a reasonable cost. You know what I mean? I think that's where I can find my niche, making local bands sound like mid-tier bands. That would be, that's my niche. And guess what? We're talking about the niche, the market. There's
Nice.
millions of local bands. Everybody's got a local band. I'm sure you look left, you look right, you know a guy that started a band.
Nice on.
Tons of people that start bands. How many people actually have the equipment, some know-how, technical ability, and stuff like that? Now we've just shrank the funnel. Anybody can record a song, like we're talking about. Microphones are decent nowadays. You could record with your phone a video of you doing live. There's a way to get your music out there, but if you want to sound good, you still need to kind of know what you're doing. And that's where I would come in. So that's kind of the next thing. But I already know that's going to take like, I don't know. Like if I take 10 hours to record my own thing, you know it's going to take at least 10 hours to record somebody else's thing. If not all the editing and stuff like that, the mixing and the background. So it's like I know I don't have the time for it just yet. So I'm kind of waiting for like the right moment where it's like I know I'll have an extra little chunk of time, because I have everything on. Like right now, everything's so chaotic. When I'm getting certain videos, when I have certain clients that want certain things, and then plus I had the mix-up of like having the kids. They were like out for 2 weeks, and then I had them back to back to back to back to back for a little bit, and all that crazy stuff that just kind of made the time chaotic. So I'm hoping to get in a good groove where it's like, all right, I go to Todd's on Mondays, every other Saturday and Sunday, and I edit on, Thursdays and this and that. So that leaves me with 1 hour per day on this day and that day and this day to edit audio. And then I'd be like, okay, now I got it because I'm in a groove. Everything has its time slot, which would be pretty sweet. I'm actually I think I got a birdie and I wasn't even looking. My friend makes sure I'm sure if I gave her your logo, she could do it and ship them to her. See, the problem is, if you can get a quote on that, that's good. But like the fourth wall, you buy them at cost. Like as the creator, you buy them at cost. So like, it's essentially like $10 a shirt. So unless your friend can make them for less than $10 a shirt, which is it is possible. I remember when I did. There's a piece of equipment called a Cricut. I don't know if anybody's heard of a Cricut, but it was essentially a giant printer, but instead of printing, it cut. So you used an app to say what you wanted to cut out, and then you would get like different material, such as like gold glitter, gold glitter sticker paper, or blue, shiny blue, or whatever it was, right? And then you would design, like I remember when I made the Epic Disappointment, the first shirts we ever made, I made like 50 of these shirts. And basically it was like a tube of this material was $13, and the material made like 4 shirts. So you're saying like $3 per shirt worth of cost. And then you got the shirts for like, I don't know, it was like 10 for 40 or something like that. So let's say $4 a shirt. So $7 per shirt to make. But then I had to sit there, cut out each Epic Disappointment, and then I had to iron on each Epic Disappointment into every shirt. It took me like hours. I remember before our first show, I ironed 40 of these shirts. It took me like I can't remember, like 8 hours of just making shirts, ironing, cutting, because I couldn't cut too many. So I cut 3 of them, ironed on 3 of them, cut 3 more, ironed on 3 more. It was crazy, but the bassist we had at the time, his name was Arlie, and he paid for everything. He's like, "Hey Al, here's $100. Let's make merch." I said, "Oh, Arlie, that's awesome, bro. Okay, I'll make you some." And he's like, "And I want a special one." He wanted one that said like, "Every disappointment." On the back, it said Arlie, and then it had like a giant bass guitar logo on his back. I was like, "I'll make you whatever you want, dude." So we made him that, and then for our girlfriends, I had a wife at the time. We put on the sleeve. We did them in each their like Rachel. Well, Dylan had Rachel at the time, so Rachel got, I think it was pink. I can't remember. There was one pink, one purple, and one like neon green, and because it was like each of their favorite colors or something like that. And then on the sleeve we put a heart, and then VIP and something else. And I think we put their name on the back too, or something like that. But it was like, once you're making them yourself, you can just make whatever you want. Now, technically, I could still do that with Fourth Wall. I could create any sort of design for a shirt and then have them ship one shirt out for a very unique shirt. I just have to upload the design for it.
Nice shot.
Let me cook. Oh, that's going in the hole. Interesting. Very interesting. Now the problem is, Cheyenne, she says, "I might know a band who would be interested in the offer." The problem is they'd have to be here though. Like they have to come here for the recording, because it can't be it needs to be something you got to be there for. I need to be able to plug in their guitar into my equipment and do that stuff. And the other thing is, like, I'm still debating on whether or not I want to do real drums or not. Because honestly, I know most drummers are like, "Oh, real drums, it just feels better, blah blah." But real drums, unless you have like $1,000 microphones, like really good microphones, it's hard to make real drums sound really good. Versus electronic drums, you could just change. You're like, "Oh, I don't like that snare." You swap it out for another snare. Like digital sounds, like you can make your drums sound like anything. It's really easy to make digital drums sound good. Oh, dang it. So I'm debating, but then I also kind of want that in the portfolio too, where it's like I should be able to actually record real drums too, because there's different mixing techniques that you need to do to make real drums sound better too, and I am interested in that as well. But I think it would just overall, you just sound. I mean, you hear "Return to Level 1", and you're like, "Oh wow, that sounds like really good drums." But I bet you, if I would have done the same recording, everything the same, the guitar, the vocals, everything the same, except for I swapped the digital drums for a real drum track, it would bring down the production value like a lot. It's not like a 1-for-1 swap. Like you'd be like, "Oh, drums are drums." I'm telling you, you'd be like, "Wow, why does that sound so garagey?" Like, it takes a lot of work to make real drums sound really good. It's not as simple as just you put a mic on a snare. You need the right mic in the right place, in the right angle at the snare, and then for each instrument as well. Same thing for the overheads. And then you need room mics in certain ways, but then you also need your room to sound a certain way. You need the reflections to not reflect off the room in certain ways. And then you also need your drums themselves to be tuned. You know, guitarists, they tune their strings. Drummers actually need to tune their drum heads. But most rookie drummers don't know that. They're like, "Tune your drum heads? What are you talking about?" Like, yes. Did you know your drum, that's a tone. When you hit a tom and it's like, dong. It's not, there's no tone that's dong. That's like a E flat. Dong, 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 dong. Tom, tom, tom. These are specific tones to replicate. I didn't know this in the beginning. When I was a young, fresh newbie in Vertical Killing Machine, I didn't know nothing about tuning my drum heads. That didn't even make any sense to me. I just thought you hit them, and if they felt loose, then you tighten them up and stuff. But no, there's actually tuning. So I remember back in 2015, I bought a drum tuner, and you put it on there's lugs of a drum. There's like usually 6 to 8 lugs. You put it on the skin of the drum head next to a lug, and it tells you the amount of pressure that is on that thing. It tells you tension pressure. And so therefore that's how you tune it. You put it, oh, let's put all these lugs at 85 PS. I don't know if it's not PSI, but it's basically a pressure gauge. And then you're like, oh, it needs to go higher, it needs to go lower, and then you just do more pressure or less pressure. So there's just a lot of work involved with real drums, and I'm like, ugh. I think it would almost double the amount of work versus electronic drums. 2 big benefits. 1, like we said, you can change out the samples. 2, let's say a drummer messes up a little bit, right? And he goes do 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 do, but he meant to go do 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 do, and it's like 1 extra hit. You could just go in the drum software and just go click, and now it goes do 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 do. You know what I mean? It's nothing. Or let's say his kick's off a little bit, or his snare's off a little bit in the timing. Timing, who cares about timing? You could just adjust everything. Move the snare, move the kick, move the hi-hat. That's why the second EP, the one I did with Reflect and Waiting and stuff, that's why the drums sound, as far as timing goes, perfect. Because I took the mix mash, it's like alphabet soup that Garrett, like when he recorded his drums, I remember I looked at him afterwards to the lines, because it gives you lines like 1 and 2 and based on the tempo. And it was like all over the place. It took me like, I think it took me like 2 hours per track just to line up the kicks, snares, hi-hats, all the beats to the actual timing. 2 hours per track. But then afterwards, it's like, now it's perfectly in time. Like when you guys hear my demos, I don't even do the real drums no more, because it's like, or sometimes I'll do the real drums, but then I'll go back onto the computer and then I'll look at the timing of it, and I'll be like, oh, I gotta scoot these back or scoot these forward or whatever, and you can move it all, and it doesn't sound stupid when you move it. With real drums, it sounds a little stupid. Like if you move a snare because you're like, oh, that snare needs to hit. Well, that snare sound, you'll hear it in all the other microphones because they're all right next to each other. You'll hear it in the overheads. You'll hear it in the toms. You'll even hear it in the kick a little bit. And so when you move something, there's all these resonant frequencies that like you can kind of hear a little bit. It's just not really feasible to be able to move as much. So when you're recording real drums, that's a drummer that needs to be like on it. Like ding, 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 like no messing up. You have to be perfect, or as close to perfect as possible. Or what the shitty local bands go, and they go, yeah, well, we like it to have that natural rhythm. It's like, no, dude, no. I just don't like that. Let's see. If they want to, they could make the time to get up there, and the drummer's fine with doing drums on anything, to my knowledge. Well, we can see. We can possibly make something happen. Like I said, I don't have a time frame just yet, but when I'm ready, I'll make that post. And realistically, it'd be nice to be able to have different genres too. You know what I mean? Like some genres are easy. Some genres are easier than others. Wouldn't it be really cool to? I've always thought about this. Like do a rapper. You know what I mean? Like I'd have a rapper come in. Like let's make a beat. Like let's do that whole thing. Like. That's all digital. Most of the rap instruments are digital, unless he wants to use like real drums, which is a very rarity in rap these days. But like to be able to have a portfolio that it kind of included a little bit of everything. So here's this time I produced with a rapper. Here's this time I produced, punk. Here's this time I produced metal. Here's this time I produced country. Who cares? It's not like what I want to listen to. It's about clients. Money, make money, do stuff. That's what it's about. So realistically, it shouldn't matter the genre. It just matters what it sounds like at the end. How can I make them sound the best? And I think that was like the biggest takeaway I got from when I was talking with Todd, was just like his drive is to be able to spend more time with his family. And so if I do my job, which is to make his content the best possible, I can help him spend more time with his family. I can help make him successful so he can do the things he really wants to do. And that like really hit me hard when I was driving home. I was like, man, I want this guy to be successful because I want him to spend more time with his kids. That, obviously, I want to be successful because I'd like to spend some time with my kids too. And I'd like to make people around me proud, my parents proud, God proud, stuff like that. But I think if you think of it less of you and more of the client, more of the customer,
Here we go.
I think that's really what creates success. Is like, yeah, everybody should have the drive to do better, because even if you don't have people around you that are helping you, driving you and giving you that motivation, you still have yourself at the end of the day. Everybody needs money. Everybody wants to get a house or a car. You know what I mean? It's like everybody has a drive. But when you really have somebody else to do it for, I think that's where you kind of can open up your capacity to do more. Like, for instance, the live show today. I was realistically thinking, I don't really feel like doing a live show. I'm tired. They made me go on site. I'm wearing my Synergy. They made me go on site, install access points again today. And I had to do that yesterday too. And I was just like, man, I'm just tired. Make me do manual labor. I'm supposed to be an office worker. But then I was like, you know what? It's not for me. It's for you two. And then for the Al Silva channel, because sometimes randos pop in there too, I'm like, it's for those other 10 guys too, but realistically for you guys. I was like, for those guys, I'll get on it. I don't feel like it, but I'll get on it. And that's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, when it's not about yourself, then you're going to do it more and better because it's regardless of your feelings. Your feelings don't matter. It's about the client. It's about the customer. And so I felt really empowered after that. I was like, man, I got to make this guy succeed. And if he succeeds, I'll succeed. And just like Chase, the same thing. Like, he wants to be able to run his business. Like right now, I think he just works as part of the tech thing. I don't know what he does, but he wants to be able to create something so that way he can provide for his family. He has a little girl and a wife and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, I want to make these guys successful. And obviously the byproduct of that is then I'll be successful too, because they have to pay me, you know what I mean, for my services. But that's awesome. That's a great feeling to have, is like I would help them be successful. And so when Elliot made that commercial, realistically, that's what I was thinking was the theme of this business is like, we want to help you take your videos to the next level. We want to help take your content to the next level. Whatever you're doing already, we want to help you do it to the best job possible. So that way you can be successful. And I think that's really the angle for any sort of, when a company's role in business is to do something for a client, isn't what the expectation is they should be helping that client. Like, obviously you go to McDonald's isn't saying, we want to help you be healthier. Like, no, they don't. They just want you to order the fries, supersize, get the Coke. They don't have the same thing. Food doesn't have the same thing unless it's like a specific, like Little Caesars, right? They're like, we want to have cheap food for the poor people that can't afford real expensive food. Hey man, that sounds like good branding. We want to help the people that need the value. Love it. That's fantastic. But for the most part, not every business has that ability to realistically affect their customer in a positive way like that. And so that's why I felt like, oh man, this business, this is it, man. I know this is something. Especially if we can actually produce results. Like in the beginning, you got to get clients. You got to do work. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be real hard. Oh, don't slice today. And I'm already tired. And I still got so much more work to do. And that's not even counting all the stuff Todd's about to lay down. So it's like, I just know I'm going to be like really swamped until I can get to the point where it's like, all right, I can finally quit my job. Like once I can like, all right, I can finally quit. Then it'll be like, now I got 40 extra hours. So instead of working,
Nice shot.
80, 90 hours a week, I'll work 50. And it'll be like, whoa, that almost went in the hole directly. That's pretty crazy. And that'll just feel like such a load. I mean, honestly, like I saw this thing on LinkedIn, and it was like 13 what was it, 13 reasons, or I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was like, how to know when to quit your job. If these 13 reasons are in your head, then it's probably time. And I was like, every single one of them, every point, it was like, do you hate Mondays? Do you not want to get in the car on the way to work? Are you overwhelmed with this? Do you not like the relationship with your boss? Are you constantly at a struggle with the company's um, policies or whatever it is? It was like every metric they had. I was like, yeah, dude, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, man, I got 13 for 13 on that boy. 13 for 13, but I
Nice
can't
one.
quit. See, this is where it's like, if I was a parallel universe, people say like, what happens if you could go back in time, right? And you started from when you're 18. And you start over. What would you do different? I'd be like, man, do you understand like how much more opportunity you would have before you have the weight of responsibility on you? How much more risk you can take before risk isn't an option? You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have kids or like realistically, this should be before you even get into debt. You shouldn't even have debt. When you're 18, nobody at 18 should have debt. What is the first debt you get? College, right? That's one of those things where people think, gotta go to college. You only need to go to college if college is necessary for the job. If college isn't necessary for the job, don't go to college. Like, I don't understand that. Like, oh, what are you going to college for? Oh, I'm going for English studies. Oh, what do you plan on doing with it afterwards? I want to be a writer. Well, you don't need to go to college to be a writer. But if you were going to say, I want to be an English professor at a university, well, then yes, you have to go to college. They're not going to use a university professor that didn't go to college. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So, college is right for some people,
Nice shot.
but for a large chunk of people, it's not right. And so then that would have been the first decision I made. Don't go to college. So therefore, I would have saved a lot of headache and time. I already did kind of grind right off the bat, but then again, I did get like, it's like I got a girlfriend, and then I ended up being like, I mean, when the first pregnancy was 11, so it was like 3 years after I started working. You know what I mean? It's like I kind of went into the whole family thing like really quickly. Realistically, like nowadays when I see jobs, there are so many jobs that I can't take right now, because they're like 100% travel, 90% travel. Even the ones that are like 50, 60% travel, I'm like, bro, I ain't doing all that right now. But if I was like a single dude with nothing else going on, do you know how easy it would be to make money with the same upbringing, the same experience or whatever, but you wouldn't have all that extra stuff? Bro, it'd be too easy. Or imagine you're in a scenario where you're like, man, I don't like my job, I don't like this or that, but I have the skills or experience to get a different job. Well, you got no responsibility. Yeah, you could just quit today and then go job seeking for the next couple months until, whatever the bills were due. Maybe you could live at home with your parents or something like that. If you're in your early 20s, that's what I'm saying. It's like the early 20s, that's the time to like really grind, to really go full force. Like
Nice pawn.
I did grind, I did go full force, but I had restraints on me. Going all the way back before I got the restraints, that would have been something where it would have been like, oh man, or at least the advice to my kids, right? That would be the next generation. It's like, guys, you really need to get a good idea of what you want to do in life before you leave high school. So that way, as soon as you leave high school, you can hit the ground running. You can go. A lot of kids, it's like they use college to figure out what they want to do. That's backwards thinking. The only reason why you're going to college is because you already know you're locked in to exactly what you want to do. That's why you go to college. You're like, man, I want to be a doctor. Guess what? You go to college. You want to be a lawyer? College. Accountant? College. There's certain things, yes, you got to go to college for. If you're like, no, what do you want to do? I want to own my own business. Don't go to college. Here, I'll save you $50,000. Go run a business. Like, go work at McDonald's or Little Caesars and run $1 million restaurant. Get real life experience with somebody else's money first. Then take that experience you have And hopefully the grind that you did to get there, because you should have a lot of savings, and now you can go into something entry level. You know, you're not going to start with a Little Caesars just because you worked at one for a few years, because Little Caesars costs at least, honestly, these days, about $500,000 to start a restaurant. Okay, what are you saving, $50,000 a year for 10 years? It's just not physically possible. But could you start a small like ice cream booth, you know, or you know, at the mall they got those kiosks, and it's like $100 a month to rent. So then now, okay, what product can I sell at the kiosk? Blah, blah, blah. These are things where it's like you don't need, like right now, I need a ton of money to be able to like sustain me and my kids and all that stuff. You got no kids, you got nothing else, bro. You could be going and doing the ice cream stand. You could be selling hot dogs. You can do whatever it takes to like grind out that stuff, like Jeff Bezos. Like when he started Amazon out of his garage, and he had a door for his desk, and every bit of money that he got from the company, he just put it right back into the company until he bought his first warehouse. And then when he got his warehouse, he's like, they're like, are we gonna start making money now, Mr. Bezos? He's like, no, we need more high-lows. We need more. And then they're like, we got enough high-lows, Mr. Bezos? No. And he's like, no, now we need robots. Now we need this and that. Like, Amazon didn't make money for like from 1998, I think like the first profitable year was like well after 2015. After, it was almost 20 years later, he's like, all right, you can start making money now. Like 20 years of just grind. And now he goes to space whenever he feels like. He sends other people to space. That was the big highlight of, I guess, this week, was Katy Perry going into space on Jeffrey Bezos' rocket. Now he goes to islands he probably owns with his girlfriend because he left his wife or whatever. Even though that one was just weird because it's like his wife was like grinding it out with him for like the last 20 years, and then, you know, you obviously don't know what's in the background. She might have been like super not supportive the whole time, and then when he finally had everything set up, he's like, man, you never believed in me. Get out of here. I don't even want to see you no more. I don't know. You don't know the backstory. But either way, even Jeffrey Bezos, one of the richest men in the entire world, grind. Elon Musk, everybody hates on him because they're like, oh, he's so rich. And, you know, bro, you got to hear the story of PayPal. You got to hear the story of the grinds he was doing, sleeping in the office because he refused to buy a house. Like certain things where it's like, they're like, I need to pour as much of my time, effort, and money into this thing so I can create something grand one day.
Good game.
Well, you can't necessarily do that when you're like, I got all these responsibilities, I got all these things I gotta provide for, so I'm held back. But honestly, I think about this all the time. There's so many aspects of my life where it's like I have a path to do something,
Finish.
but I can never take the quick path. I never get the easy path. Everything, I feel like everything I've had to do so far in my adult life, it's like I've had to do it the hard way, the difficult way, where things don't work. I have an idea, I have a thought, and then nothing goes right, and everything, it just seems to be the way that just takes the most effort. And I always think about that, like, why? Like, if, you know, even sometimes it's as little as getting a live stream to work. I sit down, I go, oh, like today, YouTube won't let me live stream. Why can't I do these things easy? And I realistically, the message I feel that is like written on my heart is, if I had, I don't even know how to put this for the whole philosophy, but basically the gist of the message is, it would be too easy. It'd be too easy. It sounds really weird when you, like, I say it out loud, but it's like some people just get things just brought to them, right? Some people, the first time they go, oh, I uploaded 2 videos, I already went viral. Hawk 2, and then boom, she's a multimillionaire. Sometimes that just happens. You know, sometimes you just go to college and you get a good job right off the bat. And next thing you know, you're boom, 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 double promoted. You're making over $100,000 a year, and you got a good house and found a good girl, and that's it. And then you just coast off. That happens sometimes. And you think, like, to myself, I'm like, man, I have like all these talents and abilities, but why is it so hard to like, it's like, you know, what do they call it? Like making juice, like when you make orange juice. Some people can just go to the store and they can just get a gallon of orange juice. But it feels like for me, everything I need, I have to like grind out the orange juice. I have to grind it out myself. But then the juice grinder breaks. Or, you know, oh, this orange is bad. Now I gotta go get more orange. Like whatever the problem, issue, deterrent, like all these things where it's like nothing ever goes easy for me. And I go, why? Because it would honestly just be too easy. It'd just be too easy. Because I know I can do anything I can put my mind to. So then I put my mind to stuff. And if it just worked the first time, or, you know, I didn't have any trials or tribulations or this or that or this person weighing me down or whatever it is, all these factors, it would just be too easy. That seems to be the theme. It would just be too easy. Because to me, realistically, I truly feel like I can do anything I put my mind to. But the path between A to B, which is the thing to do, and then me wanting to do it, I have no control over the path from destination to destination. But I know if I want to go to point B, I can get there. I just don't know what the path is like. I just know I can get to point B. I know that, whatever it is. When I wanted to play a guitar, I was like, I want to play guitar. I picked it up. Okay, cool. I want to be able to sing and play at the same time. I just put my mind to it, worked at it. Boom, boom. Now I can play it. When I wanted to play the drums, I was like, I want to play the drums. I can do that. And I sit there, I practice, boom, and I got it. Play the drums, boom. When I wanted to record videos. I just had to learn. Whatever I put my mind to, I know I can do it. There hasn't been anything where it's like, that's a physical impossibility. I guess if it was like maybe something like breakdancing, at this point it's probably a physical impossibility. But if I didn't have a bad knee, do I think it's not humanly possible that I couldn't breakdance? No way. Would I have to learn, look up techniques, practice, you know, actually get advice, maybe go to a dance studio, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you just got to do the work. But I don't think I think for some reason a lot of people think there's something tangible that separates me and you and Joe Schmo or whatever from Brad Pitt or I'm trying to think like just think of anybody, Katy Perry, any of these people. Yeah, some people have talents. You know, some Albert Einstein. Okay, yeah, he's real smart. There's certain things. You're right. But for 99.99% of things, it's realistically a drive plus opportunity. You got to have a drive to do something. But sometimes you never get the opportunity to do it. Or if you don't have a drive and the opportunity comes, then you don't take it because you didn't want to do that thing. So it's like you got to have a drive. There's tons of people that were like, I want to be an actor. And nobody believed in them. They didn't think they'd be good at it. And they just they left everything they went. They lived in Hollywood in the back of their car for 3 months until they got their first role, and then from that role they got something else, and then they become like mega celebrities or at least B-tier stuff. Where it's like they knew they could do it, but nobody else believed in them. But you just have to go out there and grind. I think that's a lot of us. Most of us don't have like something where it's like the right connection. Or maybe you're not even that super talented. You're the craziest talented. Like some people like Mozart. You know, he probably was just like at 6 years old. You probably don't have that. But can you play the piano? Yeah, you can play the piano. Anybody can play the piano. I know it seems impossible because you got to move all your fingers. It's not impossible. But how much work are you going to have to put into it to actually get it done? That's realistically the question. That's the question. How much work? Some people, they need less work. That's going in the water. Some people need to put in less effort than others to accomplish the same thing. That's where I'm talking about the being too easy. For some reason, it feels like everything that I want to do, I have to put in like the maximum amount of effort to get it done. And it's not because I'm talentless or I'm not smart. I feel like I have many talents, many abilities, and I do actually think that my brain has a high capacity for learning and thinking. I'm not the smartest. I'm not very, I wouldn't even say like genius level. I'm just like really, I can use my brain. Let's say above average, you know what I mean? But it just seems like everything outside of the factor of my want, my drive, and the opportunity, those are the things that bog me down. Those are the things. Things break, things don't work, people don't meet on time, this person, lets you down, or you go through this issue. All of those outside factors other than me are the things that I think weigh me down. Because if it was just me uninhibited, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I just put my mind to it and I do that, and it's just successful, it would just be too easy. It would just be too freaking easy. Let me get that. I'm like really close at this. I was always told if you didn't work for it, then you didn't earn it. Yeah, that's pretty true. Grandpa always said, we just can't ever have anything nice and nothing ever comes easy. It's true. I think what he means is like it's the Sandoval line. It's like us specifically. We cannot have anything easy, and we can't have anything nice. Because, you know what I mean? There's tons of people out there, it's like, yeah, things just seem to come to them easy. But it's not a bad thing necessarily, because when I look back at a lot of things, I learned from something from the struggle. I learned other things from the failure. I got new connections because certain people let me down, or because this person cut me off, or whatever it is. It's like because of the struggles, because of the trials and tribulations or whatever, I've gained other things that may have not been the end result of what I was thinking I was setting out for in the first place, but I have gained a net positive. And so that's the positivity that you need to have in your mind, is like, does everything go right? No. Will you maybe not? There are times where you're going to set out to accomplish a goal, and you may not accomplish that goal, but you may have accomplished something else that you didn't even think about at the time. Is it still not a win? Is it still not an accomplishment just because it wasn't the accomplishment you were initially going for? That's where we need to look at it. Oh, man, right in the water. Because I wish I would have wrote, I should have had I could imagine having a life journal where it's not every day because it'd be too much to read through, but events. It's just giant. It's a list of events on July 1st, 2008, I decided I was going to start learning this. And then, July 21st, 2009, this thing happened to me. My car broke down on the side of the freeway on this day or whatever. And then just to look at all the major events on a timeline, and not even major events. I'm saying certain things where it's just thoughts, processes, goals. I set this goal on this date. I accomplished this thing on this date. This bad thing happened to me on this date. My girlfriend broke up with me on this date. All those timeline markers, to be able to look at that would have been kind of cool. To be like, wow, let me look at it's the highlight reel, essentially, even though some of them are lowlights. Wouldn't that be kind of sweet to be able to have that? Come on, baby. There we go. I mean, it's not too late to start one now. And I could just be like, all right, starting at the age of 36. Or maybe when I have a solid 37, start at 37. I'm going to create a highlight reel for the next 23 years. I always say if I got to 60, I'd be really happy. But I feel like I want to be able to say a solid 30 years. But if I got to 67, I'd be really happy. I'd be like, wow, that was crazy. 67, can you believe it? But it's not too late to start that. Oh, very close. Very close. There's all sorts of... I remember one time I started a... this was back in I think it was 2017 or 2018. I can't remember. But I saw this idea that was you take a Excel sheet to make it easy. Oh, no. Boom. You take an Excel sheet to make it easy, and you write, January. You could have done this on the calendar, but for me, it was just easier on an Excel sheet. And, January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So every square was a date. So January and the 31 days of January, February and the 28 days of February, March. And so each one had a square. And so at the end of every day, you colored in that square based on how the day was. Was it a okay day? Yellow. Good day? Light green. Great day? Super dark green. One of the best days, an amazing day. Then you could do like, orange or blue or something like that. And then it was like, it was kind of a bad day. Then it'd be like, light pink or something. It was a really bad day. It would be red. And if it was like just an absolute awful day, then you colored in black. So then the idea would be then you would look at a whole year and you would realize most of your days are good, okay, good, great. You know what I mean? It's like not every day is bad, but it was like when I was going through actual clinical depression, because I feel like I've been going through depression for I don't know how many years at this point. But like at least I was diagnosed, I was seeing a therapist and they were giving me happy pills and all that stuff. And so I was like, yeah, you know what, I should probably see it. And it was just kind of a lot to add something at the end of every day to be able to color it in. I think I got through a couple months, but it was pretty cool to be able to see it like, oh, okay, yeah, yellow, 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 green, green, black, black, yellow, 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 green, green, yellow. It's like most days are actually not so bad. Some days are good. And yeah, every now and then you do have a really bad day. But when you look at the giant scope of things, you go, okay, well, not every day's bad. But when you're like in the day-to-day, it really does feel, when you're closer to these things, you're like, oh, bro, this whole week sucks. But then if you actually looked at the week, you'd be like, all right, honestly, 4 of the 7 days were pretty good. 4 of the 7 days were either okay, good, or great. And then 3 days were poor, or 2 of the days were poor. 1 day was really bad. But especially after that day was bad, that's when the whole week sucks. But realistically, it was like yesterday was really bad. And the day before that wasn't so good either. But then you forget about the first 3 days of the week that were like actually pretty good. If there was an easier way to register that, so that way it wasn't a lot of work, like I can imagine like a Siri app on your phone. I don't want to say, hey Siri, because she'll actually, yep, she's popping up for me. Maybe that's a program I can create. Because now you got ChatGPT, so I feel like everybody can create programs. But imagine an app where you just said, hey Siri, today was a good day. And then she logged in. And then she was like, okay. And then she made that green. Or, hey Siri, today was okay. That's all you had to do. Just, hey Siri, blank. And then you could be like, hey Siri, can you give me a report card of January? And then she'd be like, you had 20 good days, 10 awful days, and 1 fantastic day. And then you'd be like, wow, what was that fantastic day? January 21st. And then you're like, oh. And maybe if you have a fantastic day, she asks you. And if you have an awful day, like the black, she'll ask you, what happened? If you have fantastic, you're like, oh, I got a check in the mail for $50. Fantastic. Or the awful day, what happened? Blew my tire out on the road. So that when you ask her, like, hey, what happened on January 21st? She'll be like, that was the day you got that $50 check. How cool. Honestly, that doesn't sound like a hard app to make. I'm going to write that down. Think about making a Hey Siri shortcut app that registers how you get a report card. I use Siri for everything these days. Like, I'll be like, hey Siri, set a timer for 20 minutes. She's going to do it right now. Yep. 20 minutes right now. Or I'll be like, hey, remind me at 7 a.m. tomorrow to bring my screwdriver to work. Or, hey, when I get to, you can even do locations. Hey, lady, when I get to Dylan's house, remind me to tell him about the idea I had for that one song. And then it'll see your GPS and it'll be like, he's arrived at Dylan's. And then it'll pop up, ding, ding, ding. Remind Dylan about that thing that you had, or whatever it is. It's really good about that. And like the version of Siri right now is not like a Gary, like a ChatGPT, do everything, do anything you ask for him. Siri's not like that right now. So I could just imagine when Apple really, because now they're talking about Apple Intelligence, they're just starting to get for it, but it's not nearly no ChatGPT. It's really not. So once Siri can get to ChatGPT level, it's going to be game over. I'll be able to do it. It'll be truly my personal assistant. I'll be like, I need you to create this shortcut that does this thing for me. Bing, 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 bing. And she'll be like, oh, okay, no problem. Write it up.
Golf.
I was telling Jason another idea that I have for a physical thing. Even though it's obviously much easier to sell a digital thing. Like if I made an app that did exactly what I just talked about, that would be the easiest way to make money. Because either A, you make the app free, and then people pay you to put their ads on it.
Let's
So you have
go.
the free version with ads. Or you make it 99 cents. Apple takes 30 cents. You make 70 cents. You sell 10,000 of them per month. That's $7,000. It's pretty good for. It's not like you're sitting there making the app by hand every day for every person that wants
The
to.
contestants.
That'd be the easiest way to make money is to build an app. Now I'm thinking about that. Actually, pretty sweet. But the physical idea I had was,
Round
and
one.
this is the craziest part, it does not exist. And normally it's like when you have an idea, there's like, okay, well, there's a bunch of different options for what does that thing. But I have such a need for this idea that I'm surprised that it does not exist. Because I would just buy the existent version. But because there's a thing that doesn't exist, I almost want to make one for me to use. But because I have a need for it, I know there's a market for other people that would be able to need it, not even doing the same things I'm doing. But essentially, I keep telling the guys I want to get this a pedal that plays a sample. And the sample that I would use in this case would be a bass drop. So a bass drop is when the like on the subwoofer, boom. And so that when you get to the big breakdown or the big chorus or whatever, you hit on the pedal and it's boom. So I'm like, how can I do that? And I research on the internet, research. And most people say you have to get a looper pedal. And a looper pedal is one of those things where, you're playing guitar, right? And you press the looper and then you record your guitar part, gung, 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 and you press it again and the looper will remember gung, 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 and then you could solo over it. Or I've seen people where they'll have the looper set up with their keyboard and their microphone. They'll have it set up with everything they do. And so they can do a one-man band. Like I've seen it where it's like Omegle and they're like, I'll play any song. And then they'll put the looper on, they'll do a little bit of a drum beat, and then they'll stop drumming, but the loop keeps the loop, and then they'll play a little guitar, a little bit of bass, put a little bit of keys, and then they start singing. They can just loop all these things. So essentially the way that you can do this sample idea is you take a looper, and most of the newer loopers, you can download or upload the loops. So instead of, taking a loop from your computer, you just put the bass drop onto your looper pedal, and then when it's time to play the bass drop, you go to that one. Let's say it's file 5. You go to file 5, and now it's time for that part. Boom, boom. So I was like, okay, that's cool, but those looper pedals cost $100, $150, $200, $250. I don't need the whole looper functionality, which is 99% of what that pedal does. It's just this small sliver of what it does to be able to take a sample and put it on there. Most people buy it for the looping functionality, hence it's a looper. I said, there's not a pedal out there that you could just plug into your computer, add samples to, and then you can either dial it, like maybe version 1.0 is it's clickable, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then when you connect it to the computer, you put, all right, this is going to be file 1, file 2, file 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then you're like, all right, I want number 6 for this song. You load it up before the song starts, and then you can play it. That's it. It's basically a sample pedal, a sampler pedal. No, it does not exist in any function. And I'm thinking, because it's so simplified,
Nice shot.
you could sell this thing for like, my target idea would be like no more than $50. No more than $50. It doesn't do anything crazy, and I already have a design for it. So I have this pedal here that's a guitar pedal. This is a multi-effect guitar pedal. And so it can do like all sorts of, delays and reverbs and distortion and stuff like that. But Imagine something like this, but the middle button plays and stops, and then the left button goes left on the file, and the right button goes right on the file, and then instead of all these nubs, it's just a little screen that has, I think version 1.0 would just have 01, 02, all the way to however many I'm able to load up on there. And maybe version 2.0, it actually says the name of the file, bass drop, or haunted ghost, ooh sounds. And because there's a lot of bands out there that play samples. Oh, that was so close. That'll play samples. Let's say, you might see an artist, and before their first song, they'll play something like, I remember when we saw, what was the name of their, it was like, it was really heavy death metal. I can't remember, but before they started, it was playing some movie quote where it's like, and then we killed them all, and then we couldn't stop killing them, or whatever. Some creepy, super weird movie intro thing. But the way that they do that is, and we've done that once a long time ago, you give the sound guy a flash drive or a CD with the thing you want him to play, and then you say, hey, before we start, play that track one. Or, hey, before we play the song, I'm going to give you the signal, and I want you to play track 3. And it'll be the 30-second intro, and then maybe it's just like, oh, and then we go, dung, 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 and then we actually drop. So you have to, like, talk to the sound guy, and you got to give him equipment. Wouldn't it be better if you had a pedal that you could load those same things in with, and then you could just have the sound guy plug it into the PA, and so then you could just have this. And the reason why it has to be a pedal is so that way you don't have to use your hands. Because if you have to reach down and press buttons, or there's samplers right now that are like drum pads, so you can load it to drum pads. But first of all, those are $200-$300. Second of all, you have to hit it with your hand. The idea is you could play it with your foot because you already have your hands occupied. And I think this is something we could make for really cheap. It shouldn't take too much circuitry, but when we're talking about that really nerdy dude, Chase, that like does all that nerdy tech stuff, that was the first thing that popped in my head was, oh man, we could collaborate with Chase and be like, hey Chase, this is the idea. You know how to do stuff with motherboards and processors and stuff like that. This is the idea. Maybe you make the things, you make the chips or whatever. We can have some sort of like brand partnership, obviously with a contractual agreement. And, obviously you got to split the profits with him because he's doing all the work. But even half profits is more than zero. You get what I'm saying? So like if I made a product that was $50 cost and it really realistically profited, $30 because it costed $20 to make, and I had to split it with some guy 50-50, well then that's still $15 per pedal. And it's something that I know every band, any band would want this, because most of the time they don't want to deal with the sound guy. They don't want to tell the sound guy, like, hey, before we start, can you play this flash drive? Or, hey, before this. But if they had an easy access pedal that they can have right in front of them that's just plugged into the XLR that your bass pedal would be plugged into, so it's like really easy for the mixer to do. It's really easy for you to set up. Every band would do that. I know even us, like besides bass drops, which is my primary reason for doing that. Could you imagine like any sort of ambient, if you're a super, punk or like a really heavy metal band and you wanted like, I'm thinking like Halloween music, where it's like, you could play anything before your songs start. Or it doesn't even have to be before your songs start. Let's say you, at the chorus, you already know your chorus is going to be 10 seconds long, so you have a specific loop that when the chorus plays, maybe it's a choir that does backup vocals for your chorus. So if you just hit your foot on the pedal at the same time you start the chorus, you'll have all these backup choir going, oh, whatever your song is. It's just, it would be able to be applicable to anybody. Anybody in a band would want to use it. And that's not even counting the uses if you weren't in a band. Oh, that was sick. It almost went in the hole. So that's like a physical idea that I was like, I know there's a need for this. And we talk about a market. How many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of local bands out there that would be like, oh man, I always wanted to play samples, but I didn't want to spend $150 on a loop pedal. Well, you don't have to spend $150. Spend $50. $50, and you can do it all without ever talking to the sound guy. That's the idea. And I think we're talking about Epic Media Productions. I think it would also fall under that thing. So, like, getting the cost for it would actually be something that could be company contributed and then also as a tax write-off because you're trying to invest in an actual physical product, which is tax deductible, which would be pretty cool. So, but that's like down the line. That's like once we get really established with Chase, I'm like, hey Chase, tell me how much would it cost to do this idea? Because you get the chips from the manufacturer and you do this and that. And what will we need? Will we need like a little processor? Would it need like there's this thing called a Raspberry Pi right now, where it's like a tiny little baby computer. And I'm gonna try to make this here. It's a tiny little baby computer that usually costs like $50, but it doesn't run Windows. It doesn't run these crazy stuff. But it's usually just enough to run something simple. So let's say like an emulator to play old school Super Nintendo games, or to run a smart display on a fridge or something like that. Where you don't need a lot of processing power, but you do need a little bit of brains. That's what the operating system's doing.
Nice shot.
Let me get up there. Very nice. So that's something where it's like I don't have the technical know-how to make it work, but it's kind of like Steve Jobs with like Apple. When he started, he was more of a designer and a marketer and less really nitty-gritty on the programming. So he partnered with a dude, what is his name, Wozniak? I think his name was Steve Wozniak too. And that guy was like all about the programming, the nitty-ditty, like how to actually do code and stuff like that. And so that's how they created Apple, was the brains in one aspect of it, which was design, implementation, operations, and the brains on the other half, which is actual functionality and how to make this thing a physical reality. So I think that's where I can find a really cool partnership with Chase there, because he has the other side of the brains that I need to make it happen. And then obviously he'd make money from it too. So it's like, bro, win-win. You make money, I make money. Let's all make money. Oh, man. I'm not getting good at the chips here. Because that's a lot of, like, when you look at most of the people that are in the content creator space that are making money, they make money off of something tangible, whether that's a digital asset or a physical asset. But they're not making, like, ad revenue is cool and all, but ad revenue is not much. Like we just discussed way earlier, to make $600, you would need 240,000 views. To make $600, nobody's sustaining themselves off of that. Most of these YouTubers, Instagrammers, people like that, besides people on OnlyFans, they realistically sell something, whether it be physical merchandise because they have logos or gears or whatever, or they'll sell coffee. I know some YouTubers that they make most of their money from selling coffee beans. Some people sell digital assets, like they'll sell an online course. So they recorded themselves. It's not even a live course. They recorded themselves giving you a step-by-step guide, like where each course is like an hour, a couple hours long. So it's like it's not just little tiny YouTube videos. It's a massive course, but you got to pay $50 to get access to the course. So they make money doing that, or they make money doing consulting. So, obviously, if you wanted to buy time from a YouTuber that had 1 million views or 1 million subscribers, you could buy his time. And you could be like, hey, yeah, let's set aside time. So he'll meet with you for an hour, and he'll look over your channel, and he'll tell you about your thumbnails, and he'll tell you about your titles, and he'll work with you to get things done. Those are how some people make money. And some people just make money from memberships because they have enough people that pay monthly to be able, like Tim Pool. That's how he got most of his money, is from his membership called Timcast. In the beginning, it was on YouTube, but then he was scared that YouTube was always going to ban him. So then he said, you know what, I'm going to start my own website. And then he just told everybody, if you want to support the channel, go join Timcast. And for $10 a month, or 20 or 50 or whatever tier you want to be, but for a bare minimum $10 a month, everybody pitches in. So now that he has like 5 million people, but realistically he probably has like, let's say, even if you just say it's 100,000 people paying $10, 100,000 people paying that's $1 million a month. That's where he's making money. Like, yeah, he makes a couple thousand here and there from doing an ad sponsorship. This video is brought to you by, you know, I know he sells like what is it, the ready to eat meals, or like the tubs of preparation food. He'll make a few thousand, but most of the money is made in memberships. So it's like you got to do something. There has to be some sort of tangible asset, whether it's digital, physical, or an access to something such as memberships, in order to really make money. You can't just make money from uploading videos. Nobody does that, or at least not enough to actually sustain your life. Like, if you were just doing content on the side and you never wanted to quit your job and you just wanted to make a couple $100 a month or whatever, maybe even 1,000 or so, well, yeah, you could just sit back on the ad revenue and never make anything. But if you want to make it something, there's something people have to take. I know a lot of the kid YouTubers, like for my kids, that like, they sell plushies. And so every time a plushie comes out, it's like, oh, you got to get that new plushie. And how much is that plushie? It's like $50. Well, now they got 1 million kids paying $50. That's $50 million. That's $50 million. Obviously, it's not all profit, but let's say it's a tenth of that. That's $5 million in profit because they sell a plushie. There has to be something that the people can take away, minus just the experience of watching you on a screen. And I know that, but I'm just not quite sure what our go-to for a physical thing is. I think obviously if I could figure out an easy digital asset, that'd be the best thing. If I could sell a digital thing that I don't have to produce at all, I don't have to physically make, I don't have to meet one-on-one, I don't have to edit a video, it's just something that you bought and it's created outside of me, and then obviously it's scalable because it doesn't matter if 1,000 people want it or 1 million people want it. It doesn't involve more work on my end. That would be the absolute best case scenario. That's where we have to come up with something. Which realistically, like an app, that sounds like a really good place for an app. But I was also thinking for like Epic D Guy, I think that's how I could start, would be paid instructional content. Where it's like, you know, we're talking about audio production, how to record yourself. You know, a lot of people want to record themselves. They just need a little guidance. So putting that behind a paywall, like having short videos, like, you know, a 15-minute YouTube video where it's like, do you want to record your band? Here's how you get started. Now, if you want to learn more about EQing, if you want to get the in-depth 1-hour masterclass, then put your email in here and I'll send you the link. And then when you get the link, you're like, oh man, it's $20. All right, fine, let me pay $20. But then you pay the $20 and then you go, wow, this is very useful information. That's the best $20 I've ever spent my entire life. That's what they would say. Because we got to think, like, rationally, like, if it's a small amount of money, like even $20. I know $20 it is a lot in some aspects. But if you actually think about it in, like, you know, I spent, every time I go to the McDonald's for the kids, and I don't even get nothing these days. I just let them get some. It's about $25 for like 2 kids to get like 10-piece medium meals. It's literally $10 per kid, and then you add a little, you know, $2 cone or something like that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. $25. It's one trip to McDonald's. But if $25 was gaining you knowledge that you were able to use for years to come, isn't that a lot better than the McDonald's you ate and then pooped out the next day? Like, you don't even get to keep the McDonald's. It leaves you 8 hours later or the next day. So that's what they call an investment. Like, yeah, okay, it might be $20, but it's well worth it. There's been plugins. There's been certain things where I've bought where there could have been a crappier free version, but I've used those and I had to spend so many hours trying to make this free version work as good as the good version. Then eventually I got the good version and it's like it just works instantly. And then you're sitting there thinking, what was my time worth? Because if I would have known how good this paid version was in the beginning, I wouldn't have spent, 50 hours trying to make this free version sound like this one. I would have just paid the $50 it was and saved myself 50 hours worth of time. Because I can tell you there was the digital drums, the digital guitar, and this vocal processor. I paid for them on the last EP, and I didn't even get to utilize them fully because I was just learning them. I've learned them so much more now.
Nice shot.
And I can't tell you how many hours I've spent on old recordings with all this free crap that I was never happy with. I was like, oh man, I wish it did this, or I wish it sounded like this, or tweaking it for hours on end, trying to make it sound better and better. And then as soon as I bought the paid drums, and I just took the MIDI and I put it on the paid drum thing, I was like, man, it sounds good without me doing anything. Without me doing anything to it. It was crazy. I was like, I would have spent $60 years ago. I didn't know it was an option. I just assumed, like,
Nice shot.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are wary of paying for anything that because there's a free version, it's like, well, I might as well just get the free version. It'll just take a little tweaking, or it won't sound as good, but it'll sound pretty good. Yeah, but if you look back at it, bro, I would have paid $60 5 years ago to have the same thing to save myself so much time and effort. Definitely would have been
Nice
worth it.
shot.
This vocal processor, when I bought it, it was on sale for $80. It was normally $150. It was like half off. But it does the work of 6 different things. So when you go to do your vocals, like, you need compression, you need de-essing, which is like that high syllable sounds. You need reverb to like make space. You also need EQing. And then you also need sometimes like chorus or stuff like that. This one plugin does all of those things, and they're all in knobs. So you just go boop, 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 boop. Listen to it until it sounds good. Beep, 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 beep. Takes you 5 minutes. Before I got that plugin, the process of doing that whole thing would take you like an hour. But think of how many songs that you do. So, or in my case, I do. Let's say I make a song a month. Let's 12, let's just say it's bare minimum 12 hours. 12 hours, what's your time worth? Right now, I'm saying my time's worth $20 an hour. Well, 20 times 12, that's $240. It cost me $80. It saved me time and effort. Those are things where I think that would be a great video for the Epic D Guy, the music content channel, where it's like, I never hear that advice. I always hear like best free plugins, best free drum plugin, best free guitar plugin. I'm going to do the opposite video of that. I'll be like, you need to spend money. I don't know how to title it, but it's going to be like, you will be better off spending money. And most people are like, what? Spending money? Everybody says how you can do this thing for free. Yeah, you could with a lot of effort and a lot of time. Spend $60. Sound amazing right off the bat with very little effort. Let me show you, and then just show them. And they'll be like, wow, I'll spend $60. There it is. I wish somebody would tell me that. I'm like, you know what? You're right. My time is worth money. Nobody thinks their time's worth money because they don't make money with their time. But your time's always worth money regardless if you're making money with your time. Some people are actually making money with their time, but for most of us normies, it's just time. But it's still not free. It's worth something because you could be doing something else with that time, regardless of what that something else is. But what is your time worth? That's the core question. Let's grab this really quick. I'm going to take one of Jason's Diet Cokes because I feel I want something bubbly. Diet Coke. I feel like every time I drink a Diet Coke, because it's very rare that I drink a Diet Coke, but every time I drink a Diet Coke, it reminds me of Grandpa. Because he just loved Diet Coke so much. So then every now and then I'd be able to get a Diet Coke. I'm like, ooh, I want to drink one of Grandpa's Diet Cokes. Ooh. But I never liked it because, like, as a kid, you want Mountain Dew, you want like some crazy stuff. So I'm like, oh, Diet Coke, man, all right. But nowadays, Diet Coke's pretty good. I tried a Coke like, I don't remember how many months ago at this point, 3, 4 months ago, and I almost wanted to throw up. It tasted like just nasty, like syrup. I was like, oh, this is terrible. Diet Coke's actually still good. Because there's no sugar. I mean, there's other chemicals, but it's still good. All right, this is a 0 win, so I think I can actually nail this. Let me nail this really quick.
Nice shot.
Come on, baby. Come on. Oh, my goodness. This is going to be a bird. Definitely going to be a bird. Slight hill. Yes.
Nice birdie.
Fantastic. But I am excited. The notification to see for content made for kids. Yeah, that was so funny. A couple hours ago, when you were like, "Oh, the chat doesn't work." I'm like, "Why wouldn't the chat work?" And then on my software, it's like, "This content is for kids." I was like, "I never said it was for kids." But if that's weird, like if you say your video is for kids, it doesn't let anybody comment on it, regardless if it's a live stream. If you just put a video and you say it's for kids, that's why it's like, even if the video is technically for kids, don't say it's for kids, so that way people can actually comment on it. Unless you're like, I make videos where babies clap, so that way they can play it on like a, they give the baby the iPad and the baby's like, oh, baby shark, whatever it is. It's like, okay, then it's literally for kids. That's the only audience you want to see it. But sometimes I think, like, is it safe for kids? I thought that in the beginning, I thought that's what they were asking. Like, are kids able to watch this because there's no bad stuff? But that's not what they're talking about.
Nice shot.
Boom. Well, that needs to go down. But I'm excited. I figured I'd be able to get some yap out here. Because I only have a few days until Friday. Friday, I have the big trip. I'm going to be going to Syracuse, which will be pretty cool. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I got my last couple bits here that I'll show you in just a moment what I ordered.
Nice shot.
So I got this thing. Because I was getting this because I was concerned that the venues wouldn't let me in with a selfie stick, because when I saw Metallica at Ford Field, they did not let you in with like hardly anything. You couldn't have a selfie stick. You couldn't have too big of a portable battery, like nothing. They were like, bro, you can't have nothing. Oh, chipping. So anyway, I bought this. Check this out. It's a phone grip that makes it look kind of like a handheld camera, so it'll make it a lot easier to like do handheld stuff. But I wanted it for a different purpose. You can fold it out, and boom, I just wanted a little bit of a selfie stick for kind of that angle, because obviously, like, if you have to hold it, it's just kind of a hassle versus you can just grip. You could do that. Or even if it's someone else holding it, like Cheyenne, you holding it is a lot easier to hold a stick than it is the phone and keeping it steady, because obviously keeping it steady is the number one priority there. But then it's like boom, boom, click, click. Oh, now it's portable. Now it's ready to go. Beep, 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 beep. So that way we can get in. I ordered this for me because I've seen this on TikTok a lot, where it was like, it'll stick to anything. But this isn't the TikTok version. This is the Amazon, the Jeffrey Bezos version. But basically, this one in particular has a magnetic suction, like there's battery operated, and so you can just stick it to anything that has a can just show it on the phone, but if you put it on a flat surface, it'll stick to it. And then this magnetic ring, the phone goes to that. And I got this because I have this content. I have this content idea for a channel. Before it kicks me because I'm in the finals. I have this content idea for a channel, but I don't want to tell anybody about it. I want it to like, I want to see like if I can do something completely organic without any interference. Not interference in a bad way, but you know what I mean? Like nobody boosting it in a certain way. Nobody, like not even myself with my multiple accounts, like just nothing. I just want to post this secret content and see how well it does. And then if it starts taking off, then do more with it. But I had this idea the other day
Nice
based
shot.
on, ooh, that's going to be green, I think. Based on that one dude that had that really unique idea for like duetting something. He's like, oh, duet acting and whatever. And then I saw something else where it was like another unique idea, but it was like just so niche. It was like so niche. I was like, man, I got an idea for something super niche, but I need a way to mount. Oh man, these people are gonna whip me on this one. I need a way to mount my camera, which is my iPhone, to things so that way I can have a different perspective, like not a tripod. Like I can't be taking around a big old tripod. Like I need a way to mount it to my car window or a mirror or things like that. And I saw that. I was like, oh, I got that. So, oh my goodness. So I definitely want to try that out. I think that'll be pretty cool. And I won't tell you guys about it until I see success. And if I don't see success, you'll never hear about it. You'll never see it. You'll never find it. It won't have my name on it or nothing. If you come across it, I doubt you'll come across it, but that'd be so funny if like the algorithms are like, oh man, they watch this thing and they watch this thing, so we got to show them this thing. Nah. Well, third place, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. Just want to try that out there. So short, need one to get those good footage to the people over. Because I was gonna bring my other tripod, so I'm planning on bringing. I do have a clear bag that I got for Ford Field, and so I'm gonna bring that. But it's like there's so many things that I need to. I need to be able to pack like the batteries and business cards and like all sorts of stuff. So I got to figure out how to like pack it the most efficiently. So like I don't know. I have like a lot of ideas for doing things, but I also have these that I bought for the last time I saw Metallica, and I never ended up doing this. So I got to get ready for this as well. But I bought these picks. These are Kirk Hammett signature guitar picks, and they all just have like different Kirk like drawing things, like creepy stuff. This is like Frankenstein, or you know, this looks like Illuminati, stuff like that, right? So I think there's 6 of these plus a special green pick. That this is the style pick he uses on a lot of guitar solos. Very thick, dense pick for. So anyway, doing like a Metallica quiz, you know what I mean? Like a game, Metallica quiz game. But the problem is I only have 6 of these picks, I think, right? 2, 4, 5. There's 5 normal picks and then the 6th special green pick or whatever. So it's like you want to be able to do this video like 20, 30 times. So essentially I think I need to make the game where it's like slightly difficult enough where not everybody wins. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe I interview 20 people, but only 6 can win. But I wouldn't know that ahead of time. You know what I mean? I can't be like, oh, well, the first 6 people won, and now I'm out of the things to give away. I mean, you could always just be like, there's no prize. Do you want to play this game anyway? People might be like, yeah, I want to play the game. It'd be pretty cool. Basically, I have like Metallica trivia, lyric trivia. Like if you were a real Metallica fan, like you'd know. Like if somebody asked me, I'd know it, and I'm a real Metallica fan. So I'm thinking like if
I'd ask these people, they should know it too. Like essentially give them a line of a thing like I have all these ones written down on my iPad where it's like what song is this from? And then I'd read the lyric. And then if you were a real Metallica fan, you'd be like, oh, that's from the Four Horsemen off Kill 'Em All or whatever. Or I'd say, which of these songs is not on Ride the Lightning? Well, if you're a real Metallica fan, you'd know. Something like that. I think that'd be really fun. And I think that content would tie really well to the Epic D guy. Because I was really considering, like, when we talk about niching, like, what's the one thing that you could do a lot of and not get sick of? And it really hit me the other day. I was like, I don't know why I didn't really go full force on this, but I should have. I would have been already a little bit successful. But I started the Epic D Guy channel with Metallica coming out with the 72 seasons, and I reacted to every music video they came out with, and then I did I'm going to learn the 72 seasons outros for all the Metallica, or I'm going to smash my guitar. And realistically, that would be the one thing where it's like, I'm never sick of Metallica. I probably should have just went full force into like Metallica stuff, because that would have been the easiest way to grow, because they have millions of fans. And so therefore there's millions of people that watch, just like I do, that watch content regarding Metallica. So like I'll scroll across YouTube and see some guy showing you how to play Call of the Cthulhu, or see some video about, did you know that, Lars did this back in the day? Or I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Or just weird stuff like that. But it's like all that niche. I'm like, oh man, I could have been doing this whole time. I had so much knowledge about that. I do so much stuff. I got this box, this live shit box. This is going to be a fantastic video. That's my ear. I'm done with the game. This is going to be a fantastic video. This is the Live Shit Binge and Purge box set from 1993. And it has 3 VHSs from their show in San Diego, 1 and 2, and their show in Seattle, infamous 1989 show in Seattle. And then it has the show in Mexico City on CD, and it's supposed to be on 3 CDs, but technically I only have 2 of them, so I'm going to have to get the third one here. And then it has this fantastic book that has like all this backstage photos, all these tour photos, all these show notes, and it's in like perfect condition. Like whoever owned this beforehand, they like never really opened this up. Like anytime you see a book that's like never been opened, like the pages are hard to open, like everything just, there's no creases. That's how this thing is. So I'm like, oh man, this would be a fantastic video for anybody that's a Metallica fan if I went through and I like scanned it all so that way it's easy to see. Like, oh man, let's look at all this cool backstage stuff. Like they got notes on like Lars used to do like notes after the shows, like how the show went, what songs did well, what songs didn't do good, or we saw this one band and they did pretty good, blah blah blah. Or there's like their writers, which is like what they wanted backstage before the show, what they said they wanted delivered to the green room, which is the room you hang out with in before you get to the show. So all this cool, like, this is Metallica fan stuff. I'm like, oh, this would be a fantastic video. And then we talk about for the backstage membership, like, we can't do this on YouTube because they'd copyright strike us, but like being able to watch these videos and record us watching these videos and then going through the content and then being able to upload that as a something that, basically it's like hanging out together. Isn't that the whole point of being able to enjoy a YouTuber, is like you feel like you're hanging out with them? So that's some Metallica content right there. When we go to this concert, I'm going to try to make it, it's like I need to figure out all the layers and angles I'm going to go with to get the footage, because I'm limited by my iPhone because it only has so much storage. So I got to really know what I'm shooting, get very specific. I can't just willy-nilly shoot like 2 hours worth of video. It'll fill up my phone too quick and I won't be able to get everything I want. So I really got to sit down and think, like, what are the shots I want to get? What's the story? What's the angle? How many different videos I can get out of this thing? That's really the purpose. Because realistically, I want to make this is technically my first business trip. now that I've established a credentialed business, an official legit business. This is my first business trip, and so I want to make it actually legit. And I did all the research on like, what can I do to make sure that these things are actual legitimized business expenses, and such as the mileage to drive to this place, and like to pay for the ticket and all these things, where I'm like, I want to be able to tell the government like, hey, well, this is technically for my business because the business is productions, and part of the productions is the video content I create with my business stuff. And so basically, I got to have all the forms like purpose. I got to be purpose driven. Like, I'm going to record this video and it's going to do this and this. I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I bought this ticket. I reimbursed this person this amount of money. Blah blah blah. Like, I have to tell the government all these things of why. They want to know whys. So you have to have purpose in order. You can't just be like, oh, I bought some random thing. Why? I don't know. Business expense. The IRS is gonna be like, no, bro, that's not good enough. Like, you need to actually give them legitimate business purposes. So I have the forms ready to fill out, so I can actually make this legit. Like, I forgot to tell you, Cheyenne. Like, when because obviously I'm gonna give you the money for the ticket. That's like barely. That's pretty much the only money I got is enough for the ticket and the gas. But if you could like give me the receipt, like obviously you bought all your tickets in one, but just getting a copy of that, so that way I can file it as a receipt, and I'm going to say I reimbursed you, Cheyenne, blah, 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 for this ticket she purchased on my behalf because she had to buy them based on the date and stuff like that. But that way, it's still money I have to give out. But at the end of the year, when the government says, hey, let's say they say, hey, you owe us $1,000, and I go, well, okay, but I got to take away $300 for this ticket, and I got to take away the $100 worth of gas for this. I got to take away the $50 for that webcam I bought. I got to take away this and that. Like, I basically give them all the reasons why I don't owe them nothing, because that's the end of the day. Like, I think that should be all of our goals, is like pay as little to the government as possible, because they should be good. They're good. Like, let them get them from the super rich guys, not from the little guys, not from us. I want to be able to track every expense I have with this. That'd be fantastic. I could send the receipt to the email. I got you. Yes, thank you. That'd be fantastic. Yes. Get some heels. Yeah, you might need heels for that too. Get super high up. I'm really excited about Friday too, because like Friday's a different. See, I'm thinking Friday's the Al Silva day. We go to a club or a bar, maybe the bars are popping. It really doesn't matter. Go to where there's people, and then I'd be able to shoot footage of me talking to people in Syracuse. You know what I mean? That's an Al Silva thing. Like, I don't know if I'm going to ask him what motivates him or whatever. I'm going to ask him, I'm sure I'll think of it more in the moment. But whatever I do on the Friday, that's for Al Silva. And then the Saturday of the actual Metallica concert, I'm thinking Epic D Guy. That's all Epic D Guy focused for that channel. So that way I can have a purpose. I know exactly what I'm trying to. Obviously, some things might go right, some things might not work, but at least I'm going in with the right mindset of purpose-driven, trying to get these things, have checklists, not willy-nilly. When I showed up to Chicago and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. Let me go to the Bean. And then I went to the Bean. I guess I'll record something. Like, everything was willy-nilly. It ended up working out really well, but that's not how you become successful. Successful people have plans. They have purpose, and that's what I want to do. Whew. All right. Now, I'm going to leave the live stream off here because it's 12:39, and I want to go to bed so I can sleep because I have a presentation in the morning like I do every Wednesday. I make sure this is every Wednesday I either have a company-wide meeting for the whole company that I have to do a presentation for, or it's a management meeting for just the managers, or it could be for vendors because they want me to do stuff where they're like, man, I know Albert has nothing to do with this thing, but he talks so well. We should just have Albert do it. And they'll make me do things where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But they're like, but you do it so well. I go, okay, I guess that's what I do best, is I talk and I do things. So they pay me for that, which is nice, even though it's not something I want to be doing. My back is like really hurting from doing like I've been walking up and down hallways and going up and down stairs, up and down ladders, installing these access points. I'm like, bro, they got me tired this week. I was trying to get a lot of stuff done. I know people were asking me, when's the Minecraft video getting done? When's this Raising Cane's video getting done? And I was telling people, I think by Friday. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I don't know. Maybe if I get some extra time when I'm on some downtime over the weekend before bed. I doubt it. I wouldn't even promise nothing. They're not going anywhere, even though I really should have had that Minecraft video done. Realistically, when I have things that are, what do they call those? Like, it's like you want to ride the wave. You know what I mean? Like Minecraft opening weekend. I saw it on Friday. I should have had that video edited Saturday, ready to go, loaded Sunday. Boom, boom, boom. Ride the wave. Now it's like a week after. It's still pretty popular, but not nearly as popular. By the time I actually release the video, nobody's going to care about Minecraft no more. Those are problems. Like, if I want to be successful, those are other things I need to figure out, is like getting things done very quickly. Like Raising Cane's, it was the grand opening on that Tuesday. I should have had that video done by Friday. There's just so much always going on, and my stuff seems to be the last priority because nobody pays me for it. So it's like, I can either do my thing or I can work on that video I'm going to make $20 for and whatever. So then I just work on the video I'm going to make $20 for. But the goal would be to hopefully make some money from my own videos. I think that'd be pretty cool. Everything is sending you cost-wise. Break it down for you so it just shows what your cost would be. Yep, that'd be fantastic. Very nice. My goal is, like we talked about, I'm going to try to leave, if I can, by 7:30. So I'm thinking if I wake up at 6, and usually it takes me like, 15, 20 minutes to get out of bed, and then take a shower, and like a nice long shower, get up, get dressed, make some breakfast. Usually this whole process is about an hour and a half. So basically from 6 to 7:30. Then I hit the road by 7:30. And it says 7.5 hours without any stopping. I would only plan to stop if I really, really had to. Like, I don't even know if I think I want to prepare to not stop for even food. Like, I'll go to the Dollar Tree or something and have some sandwiches pre-made. Or maybe I'll just do some chicken nuggets here in the air fryer. And then when I get hungry, I'll have chicken nuggets. So that way, I don't like driving. And I definitely don't like driving long distances. So I'm going to want to get this road trip like out of the way as soon as possible. So hopefully it doesn't take longer than 8 hours. That's the half hour of, having to stop for gas. Maybe once. Honestly, I think I can make it there on a full tank without stopping for gas. So it gives me for like one solid rest stop, maybe in the middle, about a 20-minute break. Breather. All right, keep on going. So we'll see about that, because the goal would be to get there with enough time to not need to or it's like, oh, we get there and then, all right, let's head out. Like, I can sit down for a minute, relax. All right, now let's head out and have time to actually, like I said, go to downtown Syracuse and do all that cool stuff. So that's the idea. I'll let spam calling at 8. Yep. Basically, I'll text you at 7:30. Like, I'm in the car. Here I go. And if you don't hear from me at 7:30, you can text me. But if you don't hear from a text by 8, that'd be like, oh man, he's still sleeping. He's tired. But I don't have anything going on Thursday. I was supposed to have band practice, but Dylan started his new job, and so he can't do this Thursday because he's doing his training. So the only thing I'm going to do is finish that Steam Plus cleaning video on Thursday when I get home, and then I'm going to go to bed early. So that's it. I don't have anything else to do besides video, early bed, early rise, long drive. So I'll keep you updated as those things happen. But I'm very excited now. I just got to make sure everything's charged and ready to go. Start late, I guess. Man, I'm just really not a morning person. That's why it's like I felt it really hard to commit when I was like, man, it's going to take 8 hours. Because I told Cheyenne at first, I'm like, all right, realistically, I sleep until 10. Then I get out and I leave by 11. I'll be there by like 8 o'clock. Then she's like, we're getting there at like 3 or 4. And I was like, well, I feel really bad if they get there like way before me. I guess I could get there earlier and not need to sleep in as much. But it's like I really feel like this week I had to commit to the girl that I was working with. She's like, "Oh, let's meet at the office at like 7:30, 7:45." I'm like, "Oh man, I don't think I could do it." Like I could say that. The one day I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll try." And then I was leaving the house at like 7:25 or something. I was like, "Alfie, I'm going to be like seriously 20, 30 minutes late. There's just no way I'll make it there on time. I'm sorry." Yeah, mornings aren't a thing for me. I don't like them. I don't like them. I'm a night owl. Even though I get really tired at night, so I can't even really stay up that late anymore these days. I'm like a mid owl. I don't really like to stay up too late anymore, and I definitely don't like to wake up that early. I like a nice midday. That's the best part of the day. Sleep in, go to bed not too late. Boom. But, oh well. But thank you, Dad and Cheyenne, for joining and for hanging out, even though through the audio and technical glitches, I just figured I'd want to do something to say all the stuff that was on my mind and all that stuff that happened to me over this past week. So it was nice to be able to do that. I appreciate your guys' time. I don't have an outro for this video, so I'm just going to end it. But just imagine in your head, it's like, everyone, a good day.